3 o'clock on a Thursday. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. Lots to get to on today's program. Lots more Carolina baseball discussion, both the big picture and, if you will, the today. They do have a series that opens up against mighty LSU, the current number one team in the country and potentially one of 5, maybe more national seeds to come out of the Southeastern Conference.
I think they get 6.
SEC is going to get double-digit bids to the conference or to the national tournament for sure. Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball is going to join Elijah and me coming up in about a half hour, and we'll get Aaron's take on how he's looking. This will be our second national guest of the week to give us perspective on South Carolina's baseball program, how it got here. And, you know, by here, obviously, all of you now know, basically, the bottom of the Southeastern Conference. How did this happen? What are the national folks saying? What are they saying about the future? All of that and more. Again, South Carolina still has a sliver of opportunity next week, but it's hard for me to envision playing the number one team in the country and what it will take to beat them this weekend, then go win 5 straight baseball games against the murderer's row that is the SEC in 2025.
Yeah, not going to be easy.
So, doable? Sure.
Anything's possible.
It's possible.
Kevin Garnett told me anything's possible.
That's right.
And I believe him.
Yeah, well, you should, man. KG knows what's up.
KG would never lie to me.
He's a South Carolina boy. He knows
he
what's
is.
up. Yeah,
Malden legend.
There you go. But anyway, we'll touch on those things with Aaron in just a bit. The NFL schedule release happened last night. The only thing that we cared about around here came true.
It happened.
So that's good. Elijah is a virtually lifelong Saints fan, and he will be headed to Baton Rouge to cover Carolina LSU in October, and was hoping against hope that the NFL scheduling folks in New York City would do him a solid and give the Saints a home game the next afternoon, and they did. And against the Patriots.
Yeah, so it's a solid game.
Yeah, it's a good, at least, name game. It might not be a great game.
I get to be reunited with old pal Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, so that's good. Elijah covered him in Tennessee back in the day.
And Mike Vrabel loved us, all of us.
Sure.
He was very excited to talk to media.
Sure.
He loved it. It was his favorite part of the job.
Kind of like him, man. I guess he got that from Belichick. You really learned to get along. Have you seen, by the way, I haven't seen it yet, but apparently Reese Davis did a 1-hour sit-down at the ACC meetings with Dabo and Belichick at the same table, just the 3 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if the prophecy is to fulfill itself.
But there's a joke in there. When I saw it, I was like, 2 Alabama grads sit down with Bill Belichick, and then just ...
I'm telling you, apparently all you need is to start dating someone 40-something years your junior, and then you'll start doing any media availability that comes up. But that's the key.
There's a curiosity factor there. I know all about Dabo, and I know all about Reese, and I feel like I know all about Belichick, but I'll be curious to see how Dabo and Belichick did sitting, 2 feet from each other for an hour with Reese. And apparently that will be out on various episodes somewhere on the ESPN app or somewhere soon. I guess it's going to be a pod as much as anything else. Because I know Reese.
Yeah.
I know
for
Reese.
An hour,
Reese does his like college football podcast on a pretty regular basis. Mm-hmm. He and I think Matt Berry does it sometimes. But anyway, so that's interesting. Interesting. Speaking of the ACC meetings, it looks like that conference at least has come around to the idea of reseeding, if you will, or at least reformatting the seeds for the next iteration of the college football playoff, this year's version. Again, the long-term format we still do not know about, nor has that. It needs to be figured out soon, though, because as we've talked about, you don't just get to say, hey, big city, we're going to be coming to you on such and such a date here in like a month. Y'all good? Because that's not how it works. When you're bringing a lot of football teams and the people that travel with them and the fans that will follow them, you need to know that you've got hotels blocked off well in advance. And if they're going to, or this could be the same for, the potential of doing that in college towns if we have more games on campus, which we should. And as I said yesterday, I am ready. I almost am to a point, Elijah Campbell, where I am ready for as many things as I get passionate about in sport. And part of my job is to deliver those things. You know, I know a lot of people don't agree with me about a developmental league for the NFL, mainly because why would the NFL pay for it? I mean, I get why they don't do it. I'm just telling them why they should.
Is it going to cost them that much?
No, it's not.
I don't think it would.
But the point I make is I bang that drum a lot. But I would drop that. I'm serious. I would drop that in favor of banging two drums at once on more games on campus once the college football playoff format expands to 16. Because I do think it's going to expand to 16. Because it should. It's a good round number. But that's what I just, again, I love bowl games, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But they're not bowl games anymore. I did this yesterday, so I don't need to do it again right now. But I would be glad to stop banging the NFL Developmental League drum in favor of banging the drum of more games on campus.
That's a lot of banging.
It is, but it needs to be done. It needs to be loud. I need to almost get obnoxious. And believe me, my man, I can get there if I need to.
I want to push you to get that.
I can get obnoxious.
I'm an agitator.
Some of you may already think I am, and you know what? You're not wrong. I'm 99% self-aware. There's probably something about me that I don't really pick up on as much. But and again, it drives Ford crazy when I talk about the developmental league. Andy Staples, when I've talked with him about it, he's like, nobody's going to watch. I'm like, Andy, I don't care.
Well, that's not the point.
I don't want them to watch. I just want the NFL to shut up about not having enough well-developed left tackles or quarterbacks or referees or whatever else you can develop in a developmental league.
Every other sport.
Yeah, it isn't like you're just developing, players at the minor league level of hockey and baseball. Umpires learn how to shape their strike zone. Now, they still may get it wrong.
Hey, Michael Jordan still missed jumpers.
Yeah, but you realize from time to time, like, just how good umpires are, or just whatever. And now he is coaches, developing coaches, game management, all kinds of things.
It's experience for everybody.
There's so many things. But, again, I'll stop banging that drum. Give me more college football playoff games on campus. Have that be the incentive for the regular season. And for that faction that's loud but small, and they bang their drum too. Oh, you're ruining the regular season. College football regular season used to mean something. Now it doesn't mean anything because everybody goes to the playoffs. No, everybody doesn't go to the playoffs.
It meant something for Alabama.
Yeah.
You think them wetting the bed against 2 6-6 teams didn't keep them out of the college football playoff?
It did.
I think that's the only thing that kept them out of the college football playoff. Those regular season games mattered a lot.
Yeah. And regular season matters even more. But again, if you could include home field advantage as part of the incentives, everybody else does it. Other than I said, and I screwed up yesterday because I was getting ahead of myself. I was getting so worked up already that I said baseball instead of basketball. But then I corrected myself very quickly. But with the lone major exception in our country, and help me out if I'm wrong, the lone major exception where the entire tournament is played neutrally is men's basketball, college men's basketball, right?
NCAA men's basketball tournament.
Because, again, women's tournament, a few games on campus to start. Baseball, lots of games on campus to start. Heck, in baseball, the Sweet 16's on campus.
Yeah, it is.
And same for softball, right?
Mm-hmm. Same format.
And please don't hit me with like golf or something, because golf's different. But for team sports like that, y'all know what I mean. Y'all know what I mean.
Team sports that are on.
But in the NFL,
yes.
In the NFL, the one seed gets a week off. The better teams, the division winners at least, have home games. NBA, now finally MLB. It took MLB forever to do it the right way, because it used to just alternate leagues for the World Series. And then, I was really sad when the winner of the All-Star game didn't get home field anymore. That was such a good decision.
Hey, I'm not going to lie. as like a 7 or 8, 9-year-old, yeah, that ruled actually. It made the All-Star game and really like overly important.
Well,
loved that.
Because of my, how much older I am than you, I will tell you that it never was good for me.
It was never fun for you.
And I don't know anybody that's a baseball fan that ever said, "Hey, that's a good idea."
As like an adult, yeah.
Yeah, because anyway, y'all all get the point. How you do in the regular season sets you up for what you may be able to do in the postseason. And if part of that is being able to be at home, why wouldn't you want to include that as part of the package?
And then you can still keep the importance of your conference championship game. That you're
and
top,
the environment,
the top seed in the
all
conference.
those things. The environment, man. The environment.
Money.
I know enough people that have been to some of these games that have said it was terrible because it's so quiet. Because, I mean, when I say quiet, if you got 5,000 fans from each school, 6,000, say, okay, maybe you got 15,000 total fans in an 80,000-seat stadium that are there to actually cheer for the schools, and everybody else just bought a ticket because they live in the area. Yawn. That's what I'm telling you. I know it's a weird thing to come back around to, but one of my best friend's dads went to a Super Bowl at the Dome one time in New Orleans years ago. But he said he hated it. He said it was probably the most boring football game I've ever been to.
I have heard going to a Super Bowl is not the greatest experience. Commercial breaks are longer.
It's just he just said, and he said nobody was there to really cheer. Everybody was just there because they were at the Super Bowl. You have a few fans obviously peppered throughout.
Right.
But nobody's there to really yeah. And it's the same kind of thing in college. But the on-campus environment for a college football game is maybe for some people what makes college football so great. And at the most important times, the leaders of said college football now want to take it away from them. That doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. So I'll bang that drum. But anyway, we'll get into some of those things. I know I went off on a tangent there after I said the ACC has acquiesced, but it does feel like we're gonna have some new seeding. In fact, we'll come back. I want to tell you what it would have looked like. So we'll do that. We got a lot of baseball to discuss, so don't worry. Again, Aaron Fitt of D1 is going to join us. Looking ahead real quick to tomorrow, PGA Championship underway. No, we're not going to Quail Hollow.
Would be cool.
But it's close. We're going to Pro Swing. And if you want to go to Quail Hollow after you come see us, then I-77 is like a mile from Pro Swing. Just hop on, head to Charlotte.
Straight shot.
Follow the signs.
Easy enough.
Watch out for traffic. There's no traffic in Charlotte. It's easy to get there.
It's never congested.
No, I've never seen traffic in Charlotte. That's weird. Never seems to be a problem. Braves won today.
They did.
Yeah. Back to 500.
You know what that means? That means you can't go to 0-3 on Braves picks.
That's good.
In Jay versus the Internet.
Well, I get you just ask me something anyway. Like, Jay, how good do you think Drake Baldwin is? Just let me answer that. I'll be like, I think he's going to be Rookie of the Year. Because he's killing it.
He is having a good season.
He's killing it.
He's helping them a lot.
Sean who? Drake Baldwin, man. Wasn't even supposed to be on the team yet. So that's kind of cool.
Stepping right in. 5 home runs?
Shane Beamer made a welcome home announcement today. We'll try to dig on that one a little bit more for you. So we'll touch on that. And again, a lot of NFL stuff to get to as well, plus a couple of different things. Yes, our new Jay versus the Internet, where Elijah has reminded me I'm doing poorly. Thank you.
1-5. Not off to the greatest start.
Yeah. Is that more about the Internet or me?
Well, you're 1-5 on the picks.
Yeah.
So that's a Jay Phillips statement.
Yeah. So I'm still ready to take on.
But thankfully, the Internet did not do fantastic yesterday, too. So you're only 2 games back.
Okay. Out of 6 played.
Yes.
Not great. All right. A lot to get to. I want you to be a part of the program as well. 803-404-6100 to join us on the phone lines or the Firehouse Subs text line. Jay, Elijah, it's the Thursday postgame show. Oh, it's nice to get out in the hot tub after a long day, whether it's the spring, the summer, fall, winter, any time of year, the ultimate way to relax, right? A Bullfrog Spa from Griffin Pools and Spas could do that for you. What if you enhanced it with a fantastic sound system as well? Well, they've got their biggest Memorial Day hot tub sale going on right now at Griffin, and the Bullfrog Spa folks are ready to put you into a brand new spa that has a completely immersive sound system as well. But if that's not your thing, then check it out. You could save $2,500 off of the cost of that Bullfrog. They'll just give you that rebate instead. They got splash-proof speakers, built-in subwoofer, Bluetooth connectivity, and only Bullfrog. Perfect massage, just how you like it. Stop in and see them for yourself. You can test drive them. Griffin Pools and Spas, steps away from the Lake Murray Dam. Check them out through Labor Day at Griffin Pools and Spas. Nineteen minutes after 5 o'clock, after 3 o'clock here on
Wishing your time away.
a Thursday. Well, it's funny because every once in a while I do that. We're on, our computers are on military time, and so I often will look, and it's 15:19 right now. And so every once in a while I got to catch myself, and so that's what I did there today. My bad. It's only 3:20 now. It's not 5:20. I think it might be in like Bermuda.
Wishing your life away.
By the way, real quick, speaking of Bermuda, and I'm just going to pick a little bit because I can, and Elijah knows where I'm getting ready to go. I enjoy the Kelsey Brothers podcast. They're funny. Travis, on the latest episode, was lamenting the fact that the Chiefs have to play down in Sao Paulo, Brazil this season. And I feel him for what, like, he's saying, I'm a sweater, and I'd rather have a dry heat than humidity. And I'm with you, buddy.
Poor Travis Kelce. I'm sure he's not getting well compensated for this.
No. It's not that. Look, it's not that. But I feel you. I do, because I'm that guy. I can sweat in a walk-in freezer. I could. But anyway, so they're talking and whatever, and then Jason says, "Yeah, like there's a lot of water down there, right? But it's like rivers and stuff." And Travis just kind of said, he doesn't. He's like, "Yeah." And I heard the clip, right? So I was like, "Yeah." Rivers and stuff, and the ocean.
That big.
I was like
a big tub.
And it's fine if you look. I'm not saying you got to know your geography or you have to be some kind of, but
or that everybody elementary school level geography.
Well, Sao Paulo, Brazil, is a city of 10 or 15 million people. It's
pretty big.
It's a huge city, and I could be. Look, not everybody might know where it is, but I think a lot of people do know that it's about 100 miles from Rio, and they are both gigantic coastal cities. Or at least I would have thought that if you had said, "Hey, Jed, do you know where Sao Paulo is?" Yeah, big city, a little bit south of Rio on the ocean. I could have told you that. But it was just funny to hear say, like, rivers and stuff, right? And I was like...
Rivers and stuff.
I was like, yeah, and it's true. I was like, yeah, it's technically... They empty into the ocean, which is right there. I just thought it was funny.
They're never going to be mistaken as Rhodes scholars.
No, and that's fine. You don't have to be. I'm not picking.
Well, we can pick on those guys. They make enough money for them to be.
That's fair. But I just thought that was funny. Not official yet, but the college football playoff for 2025's season is likely to undergo one minor tweak, but it could be a major tweak depending on your point of view. And for a couple of teams last year, it might have made a big difference. Who knows? But last year, you might remember, in the first iteration of the 12-school playoff, the top 4 seeds were the top 4 highest-ranked conference champions. So they weren't necessarily the 4 best or highest-ranked overall, just the 4 highest-ranked conference champions. And that was done, for those who continue to wonder, to just make sure that a conference championship game still meant something a little bit more than just getting in, because, yes, multiple teams from certain conferences were going to have a slot in this thing and stuff like that. And I think in the end people were like, you know what? No, let's not do that. So the ACC and the Big 12 kind of need to get on board. And if they do, everybody else, the Big 10 and SEC are already there. But it would have changed things a little bit. And last year it was Oregon, Georgia, and then Arizona State and help me out.
Georgia, Boise State.
Boise.
Yep.
Yeah. Those were 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is how it would have been. Now, the same 12 schools would have participated.
Yes.
I do want to make sure everybody knows that. The 12 schools would have been the same. But instead of what we had last year, we would have had 1 seed Oregon, 2 seed Georgia. That would have held true. 3 seed Texas, 4 seed Penn State. So the 2 participants in each of those conference championship games would have made the top 4. But where it would have been a little bit different, like Ohio State got a home game, but they hosted Tennessee. Instead, Ohio State would have hosted Arizona State. Now, Ohio State still
they were a buzzsaw. They're beating everybody last year.
Yeah. Notre Dame hosted Indiana, which was great for folk in Indiana. The Hoosier fans really wanted that shot at the Irish. Didn't matter that much. Notre Dame won comfortably. But in this, if they had done it this year the way they're gonna, Clemson would have been that 12. And what a game that might have been. I mean, for as great as it might have been for Hoosier fans to be able to go up north and play in South Bend, which they otherwise don't get to do.
Yeah. Schedule them.
Notre Dame, Clemson, that
would have been fun.
That'd have been
which we're going to get every for the next few years anyway.
And I think Indiana would have preferred this anyway. Indiana would have gotten a home game, Elijah Campbell. They would have been the 8 hosting number 9 Boise. Now, would Indiana rather have gotten a chance to play in South Bend or a chance to host in advance?
Yes, to a chance to host
absolutely.
in advance. Yes, would have benefited them greatly.
And then Tennessee, who had to go to Ohio State, would have also gotten a home game. And they would have hosted 10-seed Southern Methodist. And that could have been really interesting.
That could have been fun.
You know?
That could have been a lot of fun.
I mean, Tennessee would be favored at home, but SMU was pretty good last year, right? Lashley's doing.
They're good.
He's bringing
fun offense.
along.
Yeah, I think they could have moved the ball on Tennessee a little.
You know, so that would have been a little bit different. And then Oregon would have played that 8-9 winner. Penn State would have played the 5-12 winner, that Notre Dame Clemson game. Tennessee SMU winner would have played Georgia. Might have gotten a Tennessee Georgia game again. Probably would have. And Texas would have more than likely played Ohio State. You know, in Austin. So, again, didn't happen. Fun to think about.
But I think in hindsight, now that we have a year sample size, we can look at it that way and say, okay, well, I think we probably would have liked this better.
Yeah.
From just a TV setting, from a competition setting. I think I would be more intrigued with those matchups than the ones that we did ultimately have.
I think so. But anyway, so this year, the 4 highest ranked teams after conference championship weekend will be the 4 seeds that get a bye. And to come back around to a point I was making earlier, they will be the 4 schools that do not play at home. Make it make sense, man. Make it make sense.
Well, in a 12-team format, I mean, you could probably argue that it is more beneficial to have the bye week. I think the teams that lost this year, that had byes, lost to better teams than them.
Yeah,
Arizona State's not a better team than Texas.
I don't disagree with you, but I will. My pushback on that is simply this. You know, some of these other teams just have a week off on conference championship weekend. I just.
But that doesn't advance you in this tournament.
I know.
Free advancement is a pretty good prize.
I just don't like I just want more games on campus. That's all. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know. And I don't.
Which is why 16 would eliminate that. 16 teams would, a round number, would eliminate that.
Everybody then, if we get to that, everybody will play at home that first weekend. But then you won't have any more home games for anybody. So it's still. Speaking of home games, the Gamecocks have 3 of them in baseball this weekend against LSU. This used to be one of the premier series in the country. This weekend, it is not. On the other side of the break, our buddy Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball will join us. How did South Carolina baseball get here? What are the national folks saying about the program and its future? Plus, just looking ahead to the next couple of weeks around college baseball, Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball, when the postgame show returns. I was walking around the yard. You see and feel the equipment they've got to make sure that when you take it home, it's exactly what you need. And they have been fantastic for me the last couple of years. They can do it for you, too. Whether you do it for yourself, whether you do it for a living. 4012 West Beltline Boulevard. Go see the experts at Cato's Power Equipment. Time to talk some baseball. We'll start with the Gamecocks, get into the SEC and national scene as well. We've been doing a lot of that talk around these parts of late. And we welcome back onto the program now our buddy Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball. He and Mark and Kendall and the crew getting ready to gear up for the postseason. How are you, sir? What's your final regular season assignment this weekend?
You know, I'm on my way to Troy, Alabama. We'll days, and then we got probably hit Athens on Sunday or Saturday for get a look at the Aggies limping to the finish line over there.
Yeah, that was a weird one last week, getting swept by Mizzou like that. We'll come back around to some of those. Aaron, let's though go to the main focus of what folks around here have been discussing and maybe in some cases lamenting or cursing, and that is the state of affairs of South Carolina baseball. We knew that this might be a more difficult season than most that are expected in Columbia, but it has completely unraveled of late. Just a couple of amazing blowouts at the hands of Florida and Auburn, and almost results that people could barely fathom. I'm not even going to really ask you to judge what's going on with the team itself. More than that, I would like your perspective and those that you work with, and you could share with us on how South Carolina got here when none of us would have expected it to be this bad. And I think we just lost Aaron on the phone.
Yeah, I think the radio fairy might have zapped him.
Uh-oh. Right as I set him up with that question.
You did.
Will you call him back real quick?
Yeah. Here, we'll re-effort.
Okay.
Aaron.
Man. Can you just sample out the question that I asked so I don't have to ask it that way again?
You killed it.
He's probably talking right now, answering it in an amazing way that he does. We'll try to get him back here in just a second. We apologize. He must be on the back roads somewhere between Georgia and Alabama. They got cell phones down there, don't they? Oh, apologies, but we'll try to get him back here in just a second. But it did. I heard that thing cut right there. So we'll work on getting him again here in just a minute, see if we can't hold him for a few extra minutes. But it has. You know, look, I know a lot of you are asking that question. How did we get here? And it truly has been difficult to watch. There's no question. That it has been one of those things where, like I said, I've likened it to 98, 99 football teams, but it's different because while people love football and you want football to be good, you know, baseball has not only been good, baseball has been great, baseball has been elite. And it's fair to expect that it remains at some level of success. And it's certainly fair to always expect that they make it into a tournament. And it's, as I've said many times, I think it's fair to expect that this team hosts on a regular basis. It's hard to do it annually, but you should be able to do it often enough. And if not, get yourself into the program or into the tournament. So we'll see. Again, apologies. Man, set Aaron up for that one. In the meantime, we'll keep you updated on what's going on. The Braves did win today, by the way. They took 3 of 4 from Washington. Atlanta getting back to 500 overall with a 5-2 victory today. Really should have swept this thing. They blew it last night. They looked like crap in the 8th inning. Gave up 5 runs, had a couple of errors. It was just ugly because Washington's not very good. But today, Braves catcher Danny Baldwin went 3 for 4. Drove in a run. He is killing it right now. 360 batting average so far this season. We lost him.
It is not going through.
Yeah, we lost him. All right, we'll text him in a second.
Must be in a dead spot.
Yeah, we'll text him.
A lot of those on the way to Troy, Alabama. I can't confirm.
Yeah, we'll get him in a minute. But because he said he could do anywhere between like 3:30 and 4:30, so he's
perfect. Okay,
so we should be able to
have some flexibility.
Yeah.
Give him some time to drive out of the cell phone dead spot.
Yeah, I don't know where. I'd like to know where he is. He's just on his way to Troy. Where is Troy?
It's in Alabama.
I don't know. I've never been to Troy. I've been to several places in Alabama, but I've never been to Troy.
I remember driving by it once, come back from vacation when I was a kid, like from the Gulf.
Okay.
Back up through there. It is technically in Troy, Alabama.
Yeah, no. I mean, where? Yeah, no. I knew that. I knew Troy was a town. That's what I was asking. Is where is Troy?
Let's see.
No, I knew Troy, like the school was in the town. I just didn't know where Troy, the town.
See, you were ahead of me in that regard.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Let's see. No, I knew that. I want to say it's not too far from Auburn in that part of the state, but I could be wrong.
Let's see.
So I don't know. Find that out. But
good old map.
Braves win today. Go to 22-22. Braves will be in Boston this weekend. And apparently MLB is calling this rivalry weekend, so I don't know how they paired up the Braves with the Red Sox, considering the Red Sox rival is the Yankees, but I guess the Yankees are going to play the Mets.
I guess it isn't a rivalry on paper.
Yeah, which is not really their rival. So I don't know, whatever. But I just care about the Braves getting back to 500 again. Just now try to win another game, stay over, and let's move on about our business. All right, I believe we have Aaron ready to go here in just a second. Yeah? All right, we do. All right, Mr. Fit, thank you. Sorry about that. I'm not sure exactly where you are geographically, but I set you up with a good question, and I'm sure you had already given me a great answer before you realized, they're not even there.
Listen, it was a Hall of Fame answer. I don't know how I'm supposed to run that back, but I'll tell you, the bottom line for me is nobody thought South Carolina was going to be very good this year. I mean, we picked them to finish, one of the bottom two teams in the league, I think, heading into it, but nobody thought they would be this bad. I mean, clearly, what are they? 5 wins in the league right now. I mean, I think it's not pretty and getting blown out. I mean, and it just feels like one of those things where, you get maybe a later start than you want with the portal when you have a coaching transition, and you just have to be so good in the portal at this day and age to compete at the highest level of college baseball, and so that's part of it. And maybe there's just the transition period with a less talented roster that we knew was going to take its lumps. But I also think back to things can just snowball on you in baseball, and we saw that. I think about Link Jarrett, at Florida State. I mean, this is a guy that was a slam dunk hire, Florida State guy in his prime, coming off taking Notre Dame to Omaha.
Yep.
And his first year at Florida State, they just bottom out. They finished last place. They had their worst season ever. They missed a regional for the first time in 45 years. And it was just a disaster. It just snowballed on them. And then the next year they bounced right back in there in Omaha. So, just keep that in mind is things can change quickly in this portal era.
When you look at the financial commitment part of it, and that kind of touches on how do you get players and things like that, there's a belief from some that maybe South Carolina just didn't understand that you better keep up. You haven't seen drop-offs at Arkansas. You haven't seen drop-offs at LSU. You've also seen the rise of Kentucky and certainly Tennessee, Aaron. How much of that, from your vantage point, do you think mattered here, that Carolina was just like, hey, we're going to do what's been working, and then all of a sudden it doesn't?
Yeah, it does kind of feel like they've just kind of gotten left behind a little bit, by some of those rising powers, and obviously the superpowers you mentioned, like Arkansas and LSU, and now Tennessee as a rising. I mean, it's, I don't know why they've got stuck in the mud, and I don't know if part of that is NIL stuff. I mean, it sounds like they're not on the same level as some of the other, I'm not an expert insider on this. I'm just speculating on what, the grapevine is saying is that their NIL isn't on par with some of those other top programs. And so that's a big deal in this era, and that's something that if they want to be a nationally, very relevant program, that's really where you got to invest right now more than anywhere else.
Definitely, especially when you're trying to rebuild through the portal. And I know you see teams and examples in college football and basketball all the time that just recycle rosters, right? Or not recycle, you get a new one every year. You're constantly pressing a reset button. And with the way the season's gone, there's kind of no choice but to do that. I mean, how risky of a strategy do you think it is to kind of live and die by the portal when you have to win right now? And is there an example, I guess, of a team that you think South Carolina can maybe follow the blueprint of to get themselves back into enough relevance to make sure they get the program out from where it is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the blueprint for me feels like Georgia. Under Wes Johnson, they came right in hit the portal very, very hard in year one. And I remember thinking when they were building this roster, like, geez, do we really need 8 outfielders coming in from other places? I mean, it felt like it was excessive, all the guys that they were bringing in. They were just stockpiling guys. And obviously you can't keep all those guys in after the fall, but I mean, they hit on a bunch of them, and they hit on a bunch of them again last year. And, that's a program that's maybe gone to the far extreme. I mean, so portal heavy at the expense of the high school player, which I don't know how sustainable it is long term, but definitely if you want to get the thing turned around in a hurry, that's the way to do it. I mean, and clearly this coaching staff, if they're going to try to stick around for a few years, they need to get it going in a hurry. So I would think that going all in on the portal is the play.
Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball is with us. Hey, can I impose upon you to hang on? I got to hit a break here. Otherwise, I'll get in trouble with my boss.
Sure.
And we'll come back on the other side. One more on the Gamecocks, and then Aaron's take on looking ahead to, as postseason baseball begins next week across most of the country. Cool. Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball, as the postgame show rolls on. All right, 12 minutes in front of 4 o'clock here on this Thursday. Welcome back in. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you, and big thanks to our buddy Aaron Fitt for hanging around. We lost Aaron for a second. Not like literally. I mean, he's fine. We lost him on the phone, and I hope he's not lost as he travels from his home up in North Carolina towards Alabama. Where are you exactly, like right now?
I'm somewhere between Auburn and Troy, and out in the wilderness, my friend. I hope the cell service.
Yeah, well,
I would probably lean toward the latter, but I mean, I'm kind of a patient person, probably a lot more patient than most fans. So maybe I'm the wrong guy to ask, but I just think that when you haven't had a chance to build your next season's roster, from the start, it is hard to evaluate. And yeah, clearly, I think Paul recognizes that some adjustments need to be made, and that the game has changed just since last time he coached at LSU, and he's been pretty candid about that, which maybe spooked some of the Gamecock fans. But personally, I've always appreciated that Paul tells it like it is, and I think that's a valuable quality. And he's a smart guy. He's a smart baseball man, and I think he's still got gas in the tank. I do think if given a little bit of time, even next year. I mean, I say see how it goes next year. See if he can really revamp this roster and get them to be more competitive, and see if they're trending in the right direction. I think it would be premature to pull the plug right away. But if they do that, or if he decides he's had enough and doesn't want to do it anymore, none of those things would surprise me either.
Aaron, as I look at it right now, and this should be updated, the top 5 in the RPI, all SEC teams. Most of the RPI top 10. SEC teams. We cover the SEC a lot around here. We talk a lot of SEC baseball, so anytime we get somebody on that covers this, the sport at a national level, I'd like to maybe see exactly who else outside the SEC is the biggest threat to win the national championship. We had our friend Mitch Light on from The Athletic earlier this week, asked him this question, and he went with Florida State. Do you agree with Mitch that the best team that does not reside in the Southeastern Conference is the Florida State Seminoles?
I think that's a pretty good answer. I think their starting pitching really stacks up well against most teams. They have 3 really good quality left-handers. They've got a very good lineup. I think it's not as explosive as last year's lineup, but it's still good. And the question is, will their bullpen hold up? That's been kind of their Achilles heel. It feels like everybody has warts, especially outside the SEC. I really like North Carolina's starting pitching. Their bullpen has been good, but it's got a couple of freshmen that are really the key leverage guys for them, which that always concerns me a little bit in the postseason, is when you're leaning on true freshmen with the workload, the fatigue factor, and also just the, how those guys handle the postseason environment for the first time. So, and their offense is also a step or 2 or 3 behind what it was last year. So, I mean, those 2 teams are the best teams in the ACC probably, but they both have their flaws. I mean, I think maybe, Oregon is one that's kind of lying in the weeds for me, because they're in the Big Ten, you kind of out of sight, out of mind. But they were in back-to-back super regionals. They got a lot of players back from those 2 teams. They're very offensive. It's like an SEC caliber offense. They have a real, workhorse ace who can win you a big game in Grayson Grinzel, and it feels like the pitching is not elite, but it's solid. And so that's a team. I mean, Oregon State we like too, but Oregon beat those guys 4 games in a row. So I give the edge. If I had to pick one of those teams, I give the edge to the Ducks.
Aaron, last thing for you. I guess it's going to depend on who wins it, but for the winners of the SEC and ACC tournaments next week, how much of it matters? How much of it is simply an icing on the cake kind of situation when it comes to a national seed?
Yeah, that's usually how I view these conference tournaments, and I think the committee, when they're doing it right, has expressed that they kind of view it the same way, which is it's just kind of an extension of the regular season. It's just one more week of data. It doesn't have necessarily more weight than the regular season, but I mean, if you're on the borderline of a top 8 or a host or an at-large bid, that extra week could be the difference for you if you can make a little run. And so that's all it is for me. I mean, I don't think, unless you're playing for your automatic bid, otherwise you go home. It's not that big of a deal, who wins it. I know teams like to win championships, whether it's a conference championship or a regional championship, whatever. I mean, there's value in that, but also, you have to keep sight of what really matters, which is the following week. And so, teams aren't going to, the top teams that are already locked in top 8, they're not going to blow out their pitching trying to win the SEC tournament,
Over under 11.5 number of teams from the SEC that make the NCAAs.
over. I think right now we've got 13 with Mississippi State kind of riding the ship now. If they got Missouri this week, and I know Missouri just swept A&M. I don't see that happening again. I would think Mississippi State wins at least 2 games over there, maybe 3, and then they get in comfortably. Kentucky's in, I think. I think it's 13 is really the number. I'd be surprised at this point if it's less than that.
Yeah. Good stuff as always. If you're a college baseball junkie or you want to just learn more, please check out the D1 Baseball podcast as well. The entire crew does a great job and really ramps it up here in the coming weeks in terms of their seeding shows, which I absolutely love, their projections and how you guys get after it with the spreadsheet. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So the D1 Baseball podcast, you can find it anywhere you get your podcast or watch it on YouTube. Good stuff, man. Safe travels. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks for bearing with me through the wilderness of Alabama. It's good talking to you guys.
No, right back at you. Right back at you. That's Aaron Fitt, and you can follow him very simply, Aaron Fitt, 2 T's, on Twitter to get more of what he does, and Kendall Rogers and Mark Etheridge and the entire crew at D1 Baseball. They're the best at what they do. I promise you that. Good stuff. All right, NFL schedules are out. More college football playoff talk as well, and Elijah quizzes me next hour. You're listening to the Postgame Show. Integrated Media, the best at what they do when it comes to home theater, and now is a fantastic time to call the guys ahead of the football rush. Listen, I saw it today. I'm not trying to rush our lives away, okay? But today's 100 days from the start of the college football season.
Already?
Yeah, that's crazy, right? So, look, it doesn't take them 100 days to come install, but here's the thing. You can just really have that system fully in place, or maybe you want an outdoor system. Enjoy the rest of the spring. Enjoy the summer, watching some ball games, watching your favorite movies or shows out around the pool or the patio or wherever you like to enjoy your outdoors at your house. And the equipment on the outdoors is made to be out there 24/7, 365, even in our climate. Plus, Wi-Fi that works everywhere. Control it all from an app on your phone or tablet. Listen, they make life better. They make life easier. I love what they've done for me. You will too. Now you got to get them into your house. Call them up. 803-948-8327. Integrated Media. 4 o'clock on a Thursday. Welcome back in. Second hour of the Postgame Show coming at you from the Herndon Chevy Studios in downtown Columbia. He's Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. You're you, and we appreciate you choosing to be with us. We also appreciate the time of our buddy Aaron Fitt talking Gamecock baseball and a quick look at what's going on around the country, especially around here with the SEC and ACC tournaments next week and 13 SEC schools. So I think right now they've probably got certainly Carolina and Missouri, and I guess A&M on the outside looking in right now.
You know what the funniest thing possible would be?
Tell me.
Missouri to sweep Mississippi State and then knock them out of postseason contention.
What if they do, man?
That would be hilarious. That might make them my favorite college baseball team of all time. To just not win anything through 24 games in SEC play, be the worst team in the history of this conference, and then sweep two teams that are on the bubble and keep them out of the NCAA tournament. That would be really funny. Just for the bit, I would forever remember the 2025 Missouri Tigers baseball team as one of my favorite college baseball teams.
Yeah, it's a good, I don't know. That would be something. I will say that would be something, as Prince Akeem said in Coming to America. But anyway, we'll see. But who wins these tournaments next week, depending on who, at least either solidifies a spot as a top 8 or maybe cracks in. And I think you've got a couple of teams, that are on that top 8 bubble, which I know is a weird bubble to be placed upon. But I do think there's, I think Texas is in. I think Arkansas is in. The thing that's going to be weird too, man, like Texas has a 2-game lead over Arkansas, but Arkansas swept Texas. Mm-hmm. Now the SEC, if you finish with the same record, the SEC provides co-championships. Yeah.
Stupid.
But let's just say that Arkansas and Texas were to finish with the same record. Arkansas would get a better seed, and at this point, the 1 seed.
They should be considered
at the tournament. But they should, but I agree. I agree.
Sharing championships is
yeah. I mean, I know like last weekend in softball, they just had to do it because they just couldn't find a time to play.
Circumstantial, yeah.
And that was a tournament. But yeah,
there's ways to break ties.
Yeah, I mean, and head-to-head is always first.
Especially when you play more than once.
Well, yeah.
You play 3 games. When you play a team and you'll play them for 3 games, one team has to win more than the other unless you tie.
And in this case, somebody just won them all.
Yeah, definitively.
And they weren't supposed to. So there's that. But we'll talk some more baseball in a bit. And, again, thanks to Aaron. And I'm serious, for those of you who love college baseball, and I know if you're a Gamecock fan right now, you're maybe not as enthusiastic about following the national tournament.
Your relationship with college baseball might be a little hindered.
And I can appreciate that. But if you are a big fan, just like you might be for football postseason or basketball postseason, then I'm telling you, the last couple of years, but they really kind of ramped it up last year with their podcasting. But if you watch the podcast as opposed to listen, they've got one of the screens is like, it's literally like Excel. Open.
They have the spreadsheet. Yeah.
It's great.
Really cool.
It's great. And they'll select teams and they'll show you who's done what and they'll move them over. And just the way, the machinations of listening to 3 or 4, like when Terry Rooney's on, or not Terry Rooney, not Terry, geez. Oh, I said Terry Rooney.
Wayne Rooney.
No, not Wayne Rooney.
Bruce Wayne.
Not Bruce Wayne either. No, Mike Rooney. When Mike is on with them. Sorry, I knew it was a Rooney. When Mike is on with them, Mike Rooney and Mark Etheridge and Kendall Roger. Anyway, when they're talking, it's great because they don't fight much, but they'll get passionate about one team doing something. It's a good watch, and it gives you some insight into how they're thinking about it and potentially what the committee is thinking as well. But just find it again. Just punch up D1. Wherever you get your podcasts.
Called the Nerdcast, right?
Yeah, well, some of them are.
Some of them are. Yeah, some are Nerdcasts. The ones they field the tournament, I think that's the one.
And I know I sound like wherever you get your podcast. That's not what I'm trying to do. But if you just punch it up on YouTube, you can watch it, and it's fun.
Watching it is where the value is because I like seeing them. If they're fielding it, fielding the tournament. I've listened to it and I've watched it. It's easier to follow along when you watch because then you can get the visual of what the.
But I love that one of the screens they have up is one of their computer monitors, and it's the Excel spreadsheet up and ready to go, man. It's fun stuff. It is. All right. So again, Carolina baseball tonight, 7:00 first pitch, 6:45 airtime with Derek and Stewart on the call. LSU is in town. We'll have more on that coming up in just a little bit. Meanwhile, the NFL schedule release last night. We're not, I know you're thinking, oh, good, you're going to go over all 32 team schedules. No.
Unfortunately.
No, sadly, we're not going to do that. I did look at the slate of Sunday night games. It's pretty good. I did look at the slate of Monday night games. It's not.
Well, I mean,
it's okay.
I will say the harder one, because I compiled a top 5 list for the best primetime games in their respective slots.
Okay.
And the best Panther home games. If even if you're a fan of the Panthers, or
Florida Panthers.
Yeah, the Florida Panthers. Yeah, who just 6-0 the Maple Leafs last night.
Yeah, Toronto did know there was a game, right?
Well, no. Here's the thing about the Toronto Maple Leafs: they're way too keenly aware that there is a game because that's what they do. They're very committed to the bit.
My goodness.
Yeah, we'll talk about more of that in Jay or Nay. There's the way I phrase this is your answer will be a very interesting one.
Okay.
But I even ranked the best Panther home games to go to this year. So I've got a top 5 ranking of all these, but I will say the hardest one to come up with and formulate what the best ones were Sunday night because there were so many good games.
Yeah, I mean, how much more does NBC pay, by the way? Because clearly it's a lot.
I would say a significant
clearly
portion.
It's a lot. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. But they got some good ones.
They did.
Yeah. All right, so top 5 best games. Is this like an overall ranking? Or just in time slots? So, like, top 5 Sunday night games. Are you want to start there?
Yes, we can start there. We can start with the best Sunday night games.
Okay.
We'll start for number 5. Number 5, November 30th, Commanders versus Broncos. Jaden Daniels versus Bo Nix, same draft class. By November 30th, the Broncos will need a big win to get themselves into the playoff picture. I have a feeling they'll be fighting for it with the division being that tough. Good quarterback matchup. I expect both offenses to be really good. Should be a solid game.
I mean, of all of them, I hope so. I mean, now I have to be partial to my team.
There are a few Broncos games on all of these that I find very interesting. I find the Broncos to be one of the more interesting teams.
Here's the thing.
Not best, interesting.
Here's the thing, and I try to separate when I'm a fan as best I can here in my job. But remember a few years there where the Broncos, after the Super Bowl win over the Panthers, the Broncos still had a Super Bowl defense. They just couldn't score points.
Yes.
It's my opinion, and I've formulated this opinion based on what I've been reading about the Denver Broncos. They have a Super Bowl defense. So that's good. Can the offense under Sean Payton and under Bo Nix continue to grow? And did they add the right pieces? They got a couple of tight ends. They've got another running back. So I am, as a fan, I'm hopeful, but I think when you look at it objectively, for those of you who will be studying some of this, there's a lot of people. When you had the reigning defensive player of the year, you added one of the best rookies at his position in college football coming in this season, so you can just lock things down passing game-wise. I'd like to believe that this is a situation where a Bronco defense, like some defenses we've seen, can give I don't want to say an average offense, maybe a slightly above average off, but it's not an elite offense by any stretch.
Not an elite, but good enough.
But it's good enough.
But
if you give it,
does really good.
but if you give it more chances, give Sean Payton and Bo Nix 3 to 4 more opportunities per game by
shorter fields.
Yeah, then I think you can. So I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, and of course testing against the Manders, which I've.
Well, listen. I think they're. Listen, the sophomore slump is what you'd be most concerned about for maybe both of these guys. But my goodness, did they? I hope that's not lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, I don't think
it is, man.
I think that's pretty replicable.
I think Washington is going to be very good.
Number 4 on September 14th, Vikings versus Falcons. You might be thinking, Elijah, that's dumb. Putting the Falcons on here? Yes, because we're going to get a real test to see what Michael Penix and this Falcon offense is about, having to play a Minnesota team that was one win away in the last week of the regular season from being the top seed in the NFC, also with a quarterback still unproven. And you get them early on, so you get a really good test of both quarterbacks from the same draft class who are really getting their first attempts essentially rookie seasons for both of these guys. I would consider a rookie season for both of these guys between J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix. And the fact that that game is so early is what adds to that intrigue for me.
I like that. I like that. And I think a lot of people, whether you're a Falcon fan or not, and again, there's only like 8 Falcon fans in the whole world. Tyler's.
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
All right, dozens. Sorry.
I'll give him a little more credit.
Yeah, a little bit. But
Faithful.
I'm ready for the Falcons to try to get something done. I feel like they can come close a couple of times, and then it just seems to evaporate into nothingness for a few years.
They've invested heavily in that defense this offseason, especially in the draft. So it's an early chance to see what those guys have as well. Number 3, and this is where things get really saucy, Chiefs versus Lions on October 12th.
Where's that game?
Kansas City.
You know, part of me likes look, I'm with you in that that's a cool game for 2 terrific franchises right now. But there are some times when I'm like, all right, but if I see that again in the postseason, I guess I can only see it in one place in the postseason.
That would be the Super Bowl.
Then do I still like that game as much? I don't know. You're gonna say, come on, Jay, don't be that way. But there's just times when I'm not as big a fan of some of the mega inter-conference games.
Oh, I love those.
I
think those are the best ones for prime time.
Well, and that's just it. So I get it. I'm not complaining. I'm with you. That's a great game.
And they kicked off the season pretty well.
But what does it tell me? Like, for the loser, what does it mean?
2 years ago.
You know, I guess it depends on how many more you lose, but
the entertainment value.
Somebody loses, though. Or even if you get a regular season game, like, Buffalo seems to beat Kansas City in the regular season.
But they make for really good games.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever played a boring game between the two of them.
No, probably not. Probably not. All right. What else you got?
Number 2, on November 16th, the reigning champion Philadelphia Eagles hosting the same Detroit Lions.
Now and this is, I guess, the point I'm making.
There's implications for that one in terms
then it's
of the
playoff
NFC.
seeding. Yeah, then it's playoff. Then you're, when you don't have,
especially in November.
And again, I separate between divisional play and conference play because only one team gets a bye now, and so that and that head-to-head could matter. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's the kind of game that has a lot more at stake.
Yes,
because if they finished 13-4. Who won? There, that matters.
Yes,
that
which
matters.
is why it gets the edge here, and it being number 2 as opposed to 3.
Got you.
Number 1, the game I'm most looking forward to on Sunday night this year, September 7th, Bills versus Ravens.
Ooh, that's the opener.
That's
right?
the
second one.
I guess. Well, technically that's the opener because technically Sunday night football, air quotes, being played on that Thursday. NBC's doing the
yeah. So that's the first.
game.
So that's the first Sunday night game. Is the one you just said.
Yes.
Yeah, and there again, there's one that has immediate potential playoff impact, even with 16 games to be played once they're done. But I love it. And where's that game?
That game will be in Buffalo.
Okay.
The same spot where they.
We already got spreads on some of these too, right?
We do, I think.
Yeah, I've seen spreads on a few. Speaking of which,
week 1 we probably have all of them for week 1.
Yeah. All right, so there's those, and you've got the 5 best games in Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do that, and I know it's not pro, but speaking of spreads, real quick, I did see the Carolina Virginia Tech spread. Have you seen one of these?
I have not seen the Spready Mercury.
Okay, well, I will give you that as well. So we'll blend some college and NFL as we continue talking about the schedule release and the best games on the NFL calendar as you listen to the Postgame Show. Welcome back into the Postgame Show. Jay and Elijah with you. Again, not going over all 32 NFL schedules, we promise.
Because we know that makes for a fantastic radio.
Yeah, just sit here and read them. And in week 5.
If you need help going to sleep. I can if anybody requests it, I can just record me reading all of that with no commentary, just reading schedules. And if it helps you go to sleep, then I think I've done a net positive.
Well, that's good. I wouldn't
Societally.
I wouldn't disagree with you. All right, so we just went over Elijah's picks for the 5 best Sunday night games. What do we have next, Monday or Charlotte?
Ooh, which one do you want to do first? Maybe the opposite.
Let's go to Charlotte.
All right, let's go to Charlotte.
Let's go for fans around here, and that hope perhaps that the Carolina Panthers have turned some kind of corner. I mean, look, the division is still not great.
Winnable would be the nicest way for me to put that.
So if you could find a way, I mean, will 9 wins get a division title in the South?
Could. Has before in recent memory.
Yeah. And, I'm afraid for your team, the Saints, because there's a growing belief from some that the New Orleans Saints will not maximize their efforts.
They won't be putting the best product on the field. How about that?
In an effort to, there's that word again, to get the first pick in the National Football League draft. But nobody ever does it on purpose.
I think some people might be efforting the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. And I'm afraid my favorite team might be doing that this year.
But it's because they want potential hometown hero, one Arch Manning, to come and do what his grandpa did.
If you're going to tank, don't do it with one player in mind, because if he stinks this year or doesn't live up to expectation, I don't want you reaching number 1 for somebody you just think might be good one day.
I'm dead serious when I say this, because I don't remember much about his career, but poor Archie, because the Saints were ad. And that man had to run for his life. Like, if he could have just been on a decent team, I wonder what kind of career he would have had.
Would have been fantastic. I don't know if Archie wants that for his grandson.
He doesn't. And Archie didn't want it for Eli with those awful Chargers 20 years ago. And instead, he said, go to a place where you can win. Now, I know some of you that are younger might go, what, the Giants were good? Well, they used to be.
And they were good when Eli was there.
While Eli's Giants were never, just dominant, they won the Super Bowl twice. So
Against the Patriots.
Yeah. That's a thing, man. That's a thing. It is. And, I would think that now Grandpa Archie would not want young Arch to have to suffer through what he did. They won't be that kind of team.
God, I hope not.
But you're right. When you get the number 1 pick, there's a reason.
Yeah. It's not because you're good.
Yeah.
You win a lottery.
Think about the Panthers a couple of years ago, man. They were
pretty bad.
Industry term. Ugh.
But we do have some very intriguing Panther home games this
Lay
year.
them on me.
Number 5, September 21st, early in the season, the Falcons.
Yeah.
All these will be 1 o'clock kicks.
Okay, sure.
But the Falcons, because obviously you're going to be fighting for a playoff spot, and the only way to get the playoffs out of the NFC South is to win the division, is to win the Drool Fest, and no better way to get a leg up on the competition than to beat the Falcons early on in the season.
Shouldn't those two franchises have done enough by now to become real rivals?
Yes.
The Battle of '85 and all that kind of stuff.
They should be. And there's a lot of potential for that to be a real rivalry. Now, the fan bases, I know, don't love each other.
Yeah, they just don't. I just think they care enough. I don't think either fan base cares enough
about the other. The Falcons hate the Saints too much more.
Yeah, because that's a long time thing.
Yeah, a way longer time thing.
Yeah.
October 5th, the Dolphins. Mostly because I don't know what the Dolphins are going to be.
Jacksonville Dolphins or Miami Dolphins?
You're thinking about the Jacksonville Dolphins. Yes, Artis Gilmore will be starting at center.
There you go.
They went to national championship game as a team coming off a really good year. But the Miami Dolphins, Dan Marino ain't walking through that door. Yeah. I don't know what Tua's got left.
Or Bob Greasy.
I don't know what else I don't know what that entire team has left. And I think in early October, we'll get a good sample size, a decent sample size of both teams. I think they'll be in similar spots. So I think that'd be an interesting game.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Miami feels like they almost had it and then they didn't. Maybe they do still. We'll see.
Number 3, a week later, the Dallas Cowboys come to town.
Yeah, sure. Now, sadly for Panther fans, that will be a Cowboy home environment.
It will be. That'd be a fun game, even if you're just a Cowboy hater, to go up and you live around here, make the short drive, Support the local team and cheer against the Cowboys.
That's the 12th, you said?
Would be fun. Yeah, October 12th.
Okay.
Number 2, November 30th, the Rams, because the Rams are a fun team.
That could be an opportunity to watch a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, it absolutely could.
And it won't be the team in Charlotte.
There's a lot of intrigue there. Yeah.
Rams are going to be good.
I'm very intrigued with the Rams.
Rams won the division, weren't great last year, but I think they got better in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that division is not as good this year. We got to see what the Niners are going to do. Seahawks and Cardinals aren't ready yet. But the Rams by November, turn into December, Rams might be clicking, man.
So it'd be a fun to watch the opposing team.
You really might get a Super Bowl team out of that one.
And then number 1, this is easy. October 26th, Buffalo Bills come to town.
Ooh, wow.
You'll see Josh Allen.
Wow.
You'll see the reigning NFL MVP.
I mean, you might get a look at Tusu. Heck, I mean, I'm not predicting yet. I'm not ready for that. I won't make a prediction until August. But if you said to me, hey, Jay, could you see Buffalo versus the Rams in the Super Bowl? I would say, yes, I can see that.
I could see that.
I can absolutely see that. Again, I'm not predicting it, but it would not stun me.
At all. Wouldn't surprise me.
If you said, hey, Jay, could you see Cleveland and Arizona in the Super Bowl? That would stun me.
I think the only way that happens is if the other 28 teams go on strike.
They just capitulate. We're out.
Scab players, right. But they get to keep their own.
Although I'd love that for Deuce. I just don't know how good the Panthers are going to be, man.
They should be better. I like what they did in the offseason for the most part. And if Ted McMillan translates to the NFL, you got 2 good weapons.
I like that kid, man.
With McMillan and Xavier.
I'm telling you, I like that. Yeah, and they're different. That's what I like about those 2 guys, is that they provide you with the necessary things. They're not the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
So defending them, is harder. And if you can get some production out of your tight end as well, or some semblance of a run game, is Bryce ready to be better? Is he going to be protected? I don't like to say he's fragile, but he's not a big dude. I mean, you've got to keep him upright.
Protecting him is a little more important.
I mean, he can. I think he can deliver the ball on a dime, but you got to keep him. I mean, that's the thing. At Bama, he had elite receivers, and he had 5 dudes in front of him that are all going to play in the NFL somewhere.
It helps at the college level.
And a couple of running backs that are going to play at the next level.
But I think he showed a lot of flashes with arm talent and his ability to be able to score more points. I think that team just would have been a lot better if the defense didn't give up 30 points a game.
But I like McMillan, man. I think, and I'm telling you, his stat or his tape. For those of you who didn't hear me say, and this is just me, so y'all don't have to take my word for it. I'm just some guy. But when I see him, I see Alshon Jeffrey. I'm telling you,
contested catch monster.
I just see
that's his thing.
Just throwing the ball, he's gonna go get it. You could probably put a blindfold on him, and he's still gonna go get it. He'll just catch the ball. He's not the fastest. He doesn't have to run super crazy routes or anything like that. Just make sure he's got an opportunity to be one-on-one. I love how you said that. It'll be contested.
Because he doesn't create a lot of separation.
No.
That's the knock on him, is that he doesn't create a ton of separation.
But I don't know that Alshon ever did.
Yeah, because he didn't need to.
No, he's just going to throw me the ball, man. That's what they say.
I'm going to catch it.
I'll catch the ball. And I think he will. So that could be a terrific weapon. And then when, if you've got, some safety help on him and there's X over the middle, sure. Hey, boom. I'd like to see the Panthers, I will always say I'm a huge Denver Broncos fan, and I will not let go of that until I'm in the dirt. But so it didn't bother me when Denver beat Carolina in the Super Bowl. It bothered a lot of people around here that I was such a Denver Bronco fan that night, but whatever.
They're not the look.
But I want the Panthers to do well. I do. I mean, if I had a second favorite team, if you will, I can get behind the locals. I mean, they've been around half my life. I get it. And if for nothing else, man, then for Aunt Judy.
That's right. Aunt Judy deserves it.
She does. Because Aunt Judy's been getting season tickets the whole time, man. I'm like, Aunt Judy, I don't know how you do it. She doesn't go to every game anymore. But
I don't think I blame her.
Jay Bird, how are my Panthers going to be? And Judy, you don't want to know. That's what I have to tell her sometimes.
And Judy, how nice you want me to be about this?
Yeah. That's what I'll get. I'll get a call around July. Jay Bird, how my Panthers going to do?
Yeah. I respect the loyalty. I respect
she's
it.
Great. Well, listen, she's from Gaffney. She's a Gamecock through and through, but she's lived in Charlotte her entire adult life. So
it's her local team.
She used to like the Hornets, but she loves football. And she does. She loves her Panthers, man.
Well, the Hornets also make it really hard for anyone to love the Hornets.
Well, she loved the old Hornets.
Who didn't?
Yeah, not so much the new ones. All right, come back on the other side, a little bit more around the NFL. And again, the spread on the Carolina-Virginia Tech game's out, at least from one book. What do y'all think about it? You'll find out when the postgame show returns.
From the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with a few accidents to get to you. They're causing some issues on the roadways, starting on Clemson Road at Rame Road in North Springs, Fairmont Drive at Leesburg Road, Highway 1 at Augusta Road at Clemson Road, 26 eastbound at I-20 near exit 107B, St. Andrews Road near I-26, US 176 at Broad River Road at St. Andrews Road, and lastly, one on US 378 at Pineview Road and Hallbrook Drive.
Talking NFL schedule release, some of the highlight games. We focused in on the Panthers just a second ago. Elijah is ranking, from the Elijah. This is like the EFSPI, the Elijah Football Schedule Power Index.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
Or instead of the Elias Sports Bureau, this is done by the Elijah Sports Bureau.
Yeah, ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Crack staff was on it today.
But Elijah has ranked the 5 best Sunday night games, the 5 best Panther games in Charlotte, where you might, again, you got definitely 3, because the Cowboys are an outlying Super Bowl contender.
They can be good.
They'll be good.
I think there's that potential.
They're good. Will they be great? Their division suddenly here, Philadelphia resides there, and they've been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years and won one of them. Washington came close, and Jaden could really be the next real deal. Giants.
And then there's the Giants.
It saddens me to see the Giants so bad. Jets are Jets. Giants are supposed to be good.
They should be.
They should be. They've been to a lot of Super Bowls. They've won 4. Right?
They beat
Bill Parcells won 2, and then Eli and them won 2. Yeah.
Yeah, and then beat the Broncos in the other one, I believe.
I don't remember that one, Elijah.
Oh, it might have been the Phil Simms game.
I don't remember that, Elijah.
No, you might not have. You're a young man. Might have been before your time.
Or I might have been in high school.
Maybe.
Oh wait, I don't remember, Elijah.
I was going to say I thought you didn't remember.
I don't remember.
Sounds like you remember pretty well.
Maybe.
Who's to say?
It wasn't fun.
Who's to say?
It wasn't fun. You try to forget those things.
You do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of football I've tried to forget.
But it wasn't as bad as the Niners one.
Oh, God.
That one was wretched.
That one was supposed to be the most fun one.
Yes.
Because you had Elway.
I was a freshman in college, and we had guys that we had a big party. I had Bronco stuff everywhere. And the party was basically over at kickoff. It's terrible.
Was that a worse Super Bowl viewing experience for you than the 43-8?
Yeah, if only it was, if only because of my age, the setting. John Elway at the peak of his powers too, man, and coming off the high of how the Broncos got into that Super Bowl. Just so much about it. So yes, that's. Of the Broncos Super Bowl losses, the one against the Niners, and I guess that was technically January of '90, but the '89 season, it was brutal.
Because your salsa on the white Elway jersey story before the game happened was the perfect omen for what was about to happen in that game.
It was, yeah. And that's a really nice jersey that my wife got me.
Salsa on it.
And that wasn't at that game. That we were at my friend Ben and Ashley's. My friends Ben and Ashley at the Brantleys, and so I didn't. And my buddy Edward Clark said, "Oh, you're being a real sport about it." I was like, "Thanks, Edward." I call Edward Coach a lot because he coached one of my girls. He's a great soccer guy too. But I was like, "Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it."
Coach, I'm afraid I have no other option.
It was not
be a good sport.
It was not fun. Man.
That's the only option I have. I'm afraid.
It was. And so when you go to a big Super Bowl party, right? Like so many people don't care.
Yeah.
It was just fine. That's why the Super Bowl has double the amount of people watching it than watch a conference title game, because you got that many people that just are like, they're just there for the party, and that's cool. But a lot of people are like, what's wrong? Why is he? And I'm like, well, you see the jersey I'm wearing. Now please look at the score.
That's all you have to do.
This sucks.
Having zero fun.
This sucks. And yes, and my really nice John Elway replica jersey now has a salsa stain on it. I knew I shouldn't have worn the damn thing, but I did anyway.
Brutal. Can maybe get away with it if it wasn't the white jersey.
Yeah, if I'd worn the blue. I don't know if I had the blue one yet. I can't remember, but I wore the white one. That was my mistake.
Decisions were made. Consequences followed.
All right, real quick here, before we get back to Elijah's top 5 Monday night games, Gamecocks, Virginia Tech, was announced earlier this week, will be played on Sunday the 31st at 3 o'clock over at the Dome in Atlanta. And ESPN Bet now has a lot of week 1 odds out. South Carolina is not only favored in this game, Elijah Campbell. Would you like to hazard a – I guess it just kind of gave a little bit away.
I haven't looked at it.
Okay.
I assumed they were going to be the favorite. Virginia Tech really underwhelmed last season. I'm going to say South Carolina is a 7.5-point favorite.
9.5.
9.5.
9.5. Over under, you want to hazard a quick guess, over under wise?
Let's say that over under is going to be 46.5 points.
Oh my God. Ding, 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 ding,
that it?
ding.
Oh.
Well done, young man.
Oh.
Well done indeed. Yes,
Your boy's
46 and a half. Now,
That was off the dome.
would you be taking the over or under on that one?
I think I'd take the over.
In a season opener, yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell. Like, is the defense going to show up, or
Especially
do you
with a
just score
defense
points?
that's so contingent on what your transfers are going
Yeah.
to do. You have a lot of transfer players. It might take a week or two for the defense to gel. And the South Carolina offense, there's a lot more continuity. There's a lot more continuity for Virginia Tech's offense.
Well, and I think, too, South Carolina probably, I hate to say it this way, but South Carolina has now entered this realm. You know, the Gamecocks have entered the chat.
They have entered the chat.
You got to start impressing people, man. Swag and the merch. It's fire. That's right.
They have entered the chat.
But you gotta start making people believe that the things they say about you are real, and then some.
Yeah, absolutely.
So might behoove South Carolina to make sure they cover that spread. Money line is Gamecocks minus 400, and for Tech it is plus 300. Again, that's according to ESPN Bet. So Gamecocks 9.5-point favorites to open the season in Atlanta. Again, that's the 31st at 3 o'clock, and we'll talk more about that. I imagine at some point this summer.
I think so. Yeah,
We'll find it. We'll work it in.
We'll probably remember to talk about that game a little bit.
We'll work it in. In the meantime, the NFL schedule release fully announced last night, and now Elijah Campbell ranks the top 5 Monday Night Football games. I remember when Monday Night Football used to be the game of the week. Not so much anymore.
The lower end of this slate for Monday Night Football this year, not great, but we do have some really intriguing games. Number 5 on December 8th, Chargers versus Eagles. Tough road game for the Eagles, assuming that there will be more than a dozen people there cheering for the Chargers.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued with what the Chargers have going.
Can the Chargers, I mean, they're going to be good, man. And by then, they should be in a good spot. Again, Chargers, they're going to be better. Harbaugh is a hell of a coach. Again, I don't care if you like him or not.
They had a good offseason, too.
They did. And he's got another year as a quarterback guy to work with a great quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They solidified the defense. They added some pieces behind Justin Herbert. They won 11 games last year in a division that included 2 other playoff teams. They're good.
Yeah,
they're
really
good. I know. We know what Philly's about, but the Chargers are good. All right, I like that one. Yeah.
November 10, Packers host the Eagles.
See, that's a good game. Packers won 11 games last year, right?
Mm-hmm. They would have had a much better playoff position if they didn't play in the division.
And I like Jordan Love. That could be, yeah. Okay, and there again, see, that's why I say I just like these kind of games a little bit better as an NFL fan because they could have playoff implication. All right, I like that one.
Number 3, your Denver Broncos on September 29th hosting the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
That one has
That's
a chance to just be
man.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That one, I think there's a big fun element to it.
I don't know what the over is, but give me the over.
Give me Jamar Chase, paired up against Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
That's a great one-on-one.
I agree. And now with Jahdae Barron there too, man. I'm telling you, I'm happy with what the Broncos did in the draft.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I put this so high was because I love a good wide receiver corner matchup. We have 2 good wide receiver corner matchups because Barron's probably going to take T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I like the one-on-ones there.
Yeah. And, Burrow's just chomping at the bit. Man, this might be Joe Burrow's last year in Cincinnati if they don't do something good. I'd get the heck out of Dodge. I'd force it.
They have a Trey Hendrickson issue.
I'd force it.
Now.
I would just get my agent and force it. If I have to be that guy, then I got to be that guy. So, but go Broncos that night. And again, give me the over. I don't know what it is, but give me the over.
Number 2, October 27th, Chiefs versus Commanders. Give me all of Patrick Mahomes versus Jaden Daniels.
That's just must-see TV right there. For that, I'll give you the doesn't matter what division or conference or whatever else. Just that's your number 1 quarterback in the league with your number 1 up-and-coming quarterback in the league. That's not dissing Lamar, who I love, or Josh, or
they've won
Joe
MVPs.
Burrow.
They are.
I mean, but Jaden, oh man, Jaden.
Sexy matchup. Number 1, the game I thought would be the Super Bowl last year, September 22. Ravens host the Lions.
Wow. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have been so harsh on on Monday Night Football games.
The top end's really good.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. All right, Jay or Nay is next. Oh, when you wake up feeling a little stiff, time for you to get in and see the pros at the Joint Chiropractic Centers. Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. Get rid of it and keep it from coming back. That's one of the things that the Joint Chiropractic Centers want to tell you about, is that not only can they help you maintain a healthy body, but they can help you prevent those reoccurring issues that cause you those nagging pains. You've never been? Tell you what, for $29 at the Joint, you get an initial visit with a consultation, exam, and a chiropractic adjustment. And there you can ask questions about what's going on, so you know exactly what it is they're doing. Plus, at the Joint, you never have to worry about appointments or insurance. And they're FSA and HSA approved. Monday through Friday, 10 to 7. Saturdays, 10 until 4. Harbison Boulevard, Forest Drive, Roberts Branch in the Northeast, Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. Convenient and affordable. At the Joint, you don't have to feel bad to feel better. Welcome back in. Postgame Show rolling on here on a Thursday. Coming up top of the hour, headlines of the day. 5:15, we'll revisit a little bit of what Aaron Fitt had to tell us when it comes to Carolina baseball's state of affairs, and we'll help preview a little bit more of that ball game. Gamecock baseball coming your way tonight and next hour. Elijah is going to give you not one, but two opportunities to get some tickets for Saturday night's game at Segra Park.
That's right.
Fireflies back in town. Was it Hickory? Does that sound right?
Might be.
No, hold on. No, it wasn't Hickory. Oh, it's Augusta, the Green Jackets.
Hickory would have been fun because you see Jimmy Chitwood play.
Yeah, no, that's not the same Hickory.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's in Indiana, not North Carolina. But yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, great movie.
It is a great movie. Actually, it is a great movie. Actually,
it's an all-time.
It's a really great movie.
It's an all-time.
Yeah, it's a really great movie. Gonna run the picket fence at him. All right, time for Jay or Nay, which means game show music.
That's right. And that means my team's on the floor. All right, mixing it up a little bit today. We'll start something we talked about off
Good,
air.
man. I love this.
Jay or nay? If Steph Curry didn't get hurt, the Warriors would have beaten the Timberwolves.
Oh, they would have done it. It's a fact. I'm going to say Jay because I thought they were playing well. And again, this is one of those hypotheticals, so I don't know. I don't want to take away from Minnesota, and we just heard that CBS minute there. And I know Anthony Edwards is becoming, one of the better players on the planet. I'm not taking anything from him, but I like how the Warriors came together ultimately after the Butler trade. I love what Steve Kerr does in playoff settings and in best of sevens. And, when the greatest shooter of all time can't play for you, it does make a difference. You don't have a like for like.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I could say Jay-ish, yeah, I certainly would like to have seen a full-strength Golden State Warriors go up against Minnesota.
It might have been our first ever Jay-ish. Jay or nay? The Celtics will shoot their way into a Game 7 this week.
Well, I certainly didn't see the Celtics doing what they did, the other night. Where'd that come from?
Well, they are the best three-point shooting team in basketball.
but it was the defense, and why weren't you playing like that the other night in your gym? I guess that wasn't their gym again, but and now tomorrow night, by the way, and we'll look at this maybe tomorrow. I had some stuff I wrote down, but I don't think we're going to have time for it today. But the prices for tomorrow night at the Garden in New York City, oh, my God. I think New York's going to win, so nay.
Jay or nay? Psychologists should consider Toronto Maple Leafs fandom to be considered a form of masochism.
So, for those who don't know, and I'm not a big hockey guy either, but Toronto obviously is the biggest city in Canada by a wide margin, and it's like Chicago big. The Maple Leafs are the hometown heroes. They have not won the Stanley Cup since the 1960s. And Elijah and I off air were talking yesterday. I would liken, for those of you who want to kind of put them in some kind of American sport parlance, they're kind of like the Red Sox before the Red Sox won a bunch of World Series. The Red Sox were always good. I say always, but you know what I mean. The Red Sox typically were a good baseball team. They went to the World Series a few times.
Competitive.
They were certainly competitive. Yeah, they weren't the Cubs. A lot of people used to compare the Red Sox and the Cubs. I'm like, no. The Cubs stink.
They're the lovable losers for a reason.
The Red Sox were good. They just didn't win the World Series, or they couldn't get over the hump of the Yankees and sometimes the Orioles and things like that. But with Toronto, man, again, you have an opportunity, and then not only did you get beat 6-0 in hockey,
I think they ended up scoring a goal in the last couple minutes, but that didn't even matter. It was the spirit of that game was 6-0.
Yeah. So probably so, man. You should, Jay. Yes, psychologists help our friends north of the border out because
fans were throwing jerseys on the ice.
It shouldn't get that. The Toronto Maple Leafs should be the New York Yankees of hockey.
Yes.
They really should.
They funnel a lot of money in. They spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
They have star players like Austin Matthews is one of the best goal scorers.
You got a beautiful place to play. I mean, you got everything you need and then some. They should be the Yankees, and they're not. They're not even close.
Of course, classic cursed pro sports team in playoff fashion. Their goalie gets hurt on what may be perceived as a dirty play by Sam Bennett. Gets a concussion, hasn't played since. So they're playing with a backup goalie. But, it's hard to win any game in the playoffs if you're not scoring at all, and you have a guy who scored 50 goals in a year not too long ago not show up.
And typically you should probably ride with two pretty good goalies, right? Even if one is better than the other.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, last one, Jay or nay. Yeah. The best holiday sporting event is Thanksgiving football, and Christmas football will never be as popular as Thanksgiving football.
Well, if this is a asking me question, then Jay. I mean, Thanksgiving football is the best.
It's an institution.
I just love Thanksgiving. Now, I've not necessarily warmed fully yet to the night game.
I'm always usually footballed out by that point.
Yeah, but I mean, again, in my house, it's wake up, it's parade, it's get dinner cooking, it's 30 minutes of dog show. And then football.
Yes.
The girls may go somewhere else and watch more dog show. But then football at 12:45.
You got to get a little dog show.
Oh, you do. It's great, man. I love that thing. And then nap time with a little leftovers. Heck yeah, man! Thanksgiving.
Dude, one of my favorite things used to be when A&M and Texas would play on Thanksgiving night, which they did occasionally.
Right.
Was to eat the leftovers while watching A&M and Texas, and that was always a fun thing.
That's it. I got no problem with that. Second
great.
best day would be New Year's football.
Yeah,
But Christmas Day football, nah. I
doesn't hit the
You know
same.
what? I didn't even. Now this year I got to because the Broncos were playing. But other than that, I got other things to do on Christmas. Hour 3 coming up.
From the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with a few accidents to get to you that are causing some issues out on the roadways this afternoon, starting with one on Clemson Road at Rame Road in North Springs, Fairmont Drive at Leesburg Road, Highway 1 at Augusta Road at Clemson Road, Highway 6 near Highway 602 and Platte Springs Road, I-26 eastbound at I-20 near exit 107B, St. Andrews Road near I-26, US 176 Broad River Road at St. Andrews Road, and lastly, one on US 378 at Pineview Road and Hallbrook Drive.
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Thursday. Welcome back in. It's also the final hour of the Postgame Show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being on board. We'll jump right into Gamecock baseball. Final regular season series begins tonight down at Founders Park, South Carolina, and number 1 LSU. Coach Jay Johnson of LSU making a shift in his pitching rotation. He wants to keep Cade Anderson and Anthony Ireson on their regular Friday, Saturday pitching spots. So as of this afternoon, still did not get a determination on who LSU will start tonight. But the Gamecocks will start Ashton Crowther. The lefty sophomore is 2-2 with a 4.13, 24 strikeouts in 32 2/3. Gamecocks will send Jake McCoy to the hill tomorrow night. Sophomore lefty 4-4 with a 6.71. But 76 strikeouts in 55 innings pitched. And, if he could get some of the other numbers down, he's actually shown some promise.
A lot of feast or famine there.
Yeah, there really has been. He's got 35 walks in those 55 innings, too. That's just that's too many, even if it's basically a better than 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. So sometimes you live with that. Cade Anderson, as I said, will go for LSU tomorrow night. He's been fantastic this season. Sophomore lefty, 6-1 with a 3.66, 124 strikeouts. In 76 1/3, he only has 20 walks. This kid is on his way next year to being a very high draft pick. And then on Saturday afternoon, the Tigers will send Anthony Ireson to the hill, the junior righty, also having a spectacular season, 8-2, a 2.91, 116 strikeouts in 74 1/3, only 27 walks. The Gamecocks have not yet decided upon a Saturday starter, but the top two for LSU are two of the best in the country. That's why they're number 1 in the country.
Daunting, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be better than number 1.
It is. I can't, unless you want to go by the week 0 thing, the 0th team.
I mean, I know we are known for our abilities as mathematicians on this program,
right.
And so we did the numbers, we did the math,
Yep.
we crunched everything over, got the crack staff on it, and we did conclude you can't be better than number 1.
There it is then. But LSU took 2 of 3 from Arkansas, at home against Arkansas this past weekend, and including a run rule game against a team in Arkansas that is currently in second place in the Southeastern Conference. LSU, depending on what happens between several teams, and we'll talk about it later in the drive around and certainly again tomorrow, but LSU still has a very good chance to be the number 1 overall seed. You finished strong this weekend, and I hate to say it, Gamecock fans, but I know most of you get it. I expect South Carolina to be swept this weekend, and I hate feeling that way. I hate saying that. Mm-hmm. Maybe tonight if LSU wants to go bullpen on you. But here's the thing: it's not like LSU can't afford to lose. They could lose a game this weekend. They're going to be a top 8, and again, you see what Anderson and Ireson are all about. But it's just gotten to a point with what we've seen from the Gamecocks in the last couple of weekends, where this season that was already bad has gotten worse. Mm-hmm. And again, here comes number 1. And I'm going to use an old music thing here, like number 1 with a bullet, because LSU is just shooting up the charts. I mean, and they've gotten to be number 1 now. And it's not necessarily a case of riding it all year, because there have been a lot of Arkansas has been number 1 for a bit. Texas was number 1 for a long time. But here's LSU, now. And again, you look at these power pitchers, and LSU scores runs, and South Carolina gives up runs, and there's just a bad mix. So, if I'm wrong, so be it. But I would tell you that I feel like a sweep is more than likely what we're going to be looking at this weekend. The Gamecocks really need to bring their absolute best, and maybe the best they've played all year.
Yeah, I mean,
because when you've played the very best teams on your schedule this year, you have not won a game.
Well, you've played a few teams in the RPI top 15. You know what the record is against teams in the RPI top 15?
Is Mississippi in it right now?
They are not.
Okay.
Ole Miss is 18.
Then I guess you're 0 for?
0 for 14.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah, I think
my goodness,
going 0 for this weekend is the most realistic expectation.
Wow.
So usually you can slip up and because baseball's that way.
It's
baseball's that way.
Yeah. At 14 games, you'd like to think, well, you could have been 4-10.
Yeah. And that still wouldn't be good.
It wouldn't be good, but you could be like, well, it's something.
But you got nothing. And that's the issue.
Wow. 7 o'clock tonight, 7 o'clock tomorrow night, and I believe 3 o'clock first pitch on Sunday. Broadcast time is 15 minutes prior right here and all across the Gamecock Radio Network. We'll have more on Gamecock baseball. We visited earlier today with our good friend Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball, and we asked him, how we got here. We'll let you hear his answer coming up in just a little bit. In the meantime, speaking of baseball, continuing our integrated media headlines of the day, the Atlanta Braves won today, beat Washington 5-2. They took 3 of 4 from the Nationals. Atlanta will be in Boston over the weekend. Today, A.J. Smith-Shawver was fantastic. 2 hits, no earned runs in 6 innings. And, again, Danny Baldwin was 3 for 4 today. The Braves rookie catcher hitting .360 on the season.
Blistering.
He is really tearing it up. And Atlanta is back to 500 at 22-22 and has played, very good baseball since that 0-7. And you know what? I'd forgotten about this. I was reading a piece today on just some of the things the Braves are trying to work on. They were 0-7, so there's 7 games, under your 500, if you will. They were also 5-13. So at one point, the Braves have been 8 games under 500.
So you use that as a starting point instead of the 0-7.
To get it back, yeah. So, again, yes, I'm a fan, but the Braves are actually beginning to play some very good baseball.
You knew they would. The team's too talented. It's too loaded. And you knew at the beginning of the season you wouldn't have Spencer Strider to start. You wouldn't have Ronald Acuna to start.
Both those guys, by the way, are doing their rehab stuff. Strider just did a simulated game and I think was perfect for 2 innings against a simulated game. So I don't really I don't want to put too much into it.
Is he pitching against an AI bot?
No, he was pitching against real players, at least. They even said they brought some of the Gwinnett players over to bat against him, but it was in Atlanta, in the ballpark. And then Acuna will start his Gwinnett rehab tonight.
It's exciting.
Yeah, he had a home run on Tuesday. So.
He'll be here before we know it.
We'll see. NBA last night, a couple of, at least one team was eliminated. The Timberwolves with an 11-point win over the Warriors. That was in the Twin Cities. So the Dubs are done. And, of course, Steph went down early in this one and was not able to come back. They were hoping that he was going to be back for a Game 5. He just was not ready to be there. And they were he says that he was ready for Game 6. But doesn't matter now. Nope. But look, T-Wolves are good. These were 2 teams that were basically the same record, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of the regular season. They were both good regular season teams. They weren't. Neither one of them were great. Yeah,
and that tells you exactly how important Steph Curry is to the Golden State Warriors.
Well, and you asked me earlier, and I think, look, it's not going out on some crazy limb to say if Steph Curry is fully healthy that the Golden State Warriors are a better basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, like the way they were able to adjust when they made the Jimmy Butler trade turned out to be really beneficial. And a lot of that was still allowing Steph Curry to have a high volume of shots, but you're better defensively, and you have a secondary playmaker with Butler. But it just doesn't work the same without Steph because he commands so much attention, even when he doesn't have the ball. He moves so much without the ball, too, that defenses have to account to where he is on the floor at all times. And Golden State's just significantly easier to guard if that's not there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Also last night, the Celtics, again, lockdown defense, and without Jason Tatum, just blew through the New York Knicks, 127-102, the final score. Again, Game 6 tomorrow night at MSG. And we'll have some fun tomorrow on the show talking about some of the ticket prices, even the get-in. Forget about sitting down there by Spike and Chris Rock and all those folks. Yeah, you're not sitting down there with them. You're not going to. Well, maybe you.
Chalamet might invite you down there.
Yeah, maybe.
Seems like a real one.
Yeah, maybe.
Seems like a good dude.
But otherwise, it's going to be a heck of a ticket in the Garden tomorrow night, as the Knicks could. I expect them to close it out tomorrow night, but we'll see. But without Tatum, and I'm good for the Celtics last night. Good for the Celtics. Tonight, the Denver Nuggets have to stay alive at home. Thunder up 3-2. 8:30 tip-off in Denver. OKC is the road favorite. Again, they are up 3-2. Does this one come up later in Jay versus the Internet?
It does.
Okay, so I'll just leave the rest of it alone for now.
It's a big one.
But I'm kind of pulling for for Joker. I like Denver.
I think he's likable. It's a likable team, likable
I
organization.
got nothing against OKC. I just like Joker.
Yeah, and I love this OKC team. I mean, but I'm just one of those, like, I kind of, if my team's out of it, I'll latch on to a player to want to see more of. I just like watching that guy play basketball.
I like Murray too, but apparently he might have the flu or some such.
Uh-oh.
So that could be bad.
That could be bad.
Yeah.
Joker might
Unless
have to
Russ
put up
can
a
just
50-piece.
maybe Russ will take over.
Which is always a hit or miss proposition.
The Russ of 10 years ago would be all right tonight.
I've always had I don't think I've ever had a bigger, I guess, love-hate relationship with a basketball player than Russell Westbrook. Because sometimes I watch him play and I'm like, this guy's electric. And sometimes I watch him play and I watch him throw a three-pointer off the backboard when there was a couple people open and be like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Exciting and frustrating.
Yeah, all at the same time. No, absolutely.
That sums up the experience.
PGA Championship going on up the road in Charlotte. Many of you will probably be heading up that way this weekend. Cam Davis has taken the lead right now. He is through 15 holes. He teed off on the back, though, because there are too many people in this tournament, by the way. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow on the show with Bill McDonald. There's way too big a field for a major. 156 guys teed off today.
Oof.
It's way too many for a major. I'm sorry.
You're really banking on there being no rain, aren't you?
You know, yeah. Well, it's just so many. And then they cut it to 70, so at least the weekend is but still, that's a lot of people in a major.
For reference, how many is usually in the Masters?
The Masters is like around 90.
Yeah.
And the Open Championship might have a few more, and the U.S. Open too, but it has more. All of them have more than the Masters, but still, it's just 156, man. That's a lot. Cam Davis is leading right now. Ryan Gerard is finished at 5 under par. So is Luke Donald of England. He's at 4 under, along with Ryan Fox, who's finished. Alex Smalley of the United States at 4. Stefan Jager is at 4.
I love his bombs.
Adam Scott is at 4 under par. He is still playing. Some other big names for you. Keegan Bradley's at 3 under, done for the day. Scotty Scheffler, 2 under. Scotty, Rory, Xander in the same group today. So, I mean, that's, wow. I don't know if you could move while their gallery was trying to make its way through the course. But they all, I think it was.
To see other groups and make it very easy to see other groups.
On 16, each of them double bogeyed.
Oh!
Each of them on the same hole double bogeyed this morning.
Odds of that? Very low.
I'd love to know what the odds are, especially for 3 men of that caliber. You know, I mean,
remarkable.
But yeah, but there you go. But Scotty's at 2. I tell you, honestly, y'all, if you're a golf fan, you know some of these names, but there are a lot of names on this leaderboard that you don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm not.
This could be a rando.
I'm not complaining.
Winner. We could have a rando winner of a major.
I'm not complaining. It's sort of that. I'm not. You know, I'm just stating a fact.
I mean, every now and then you have a major tournament where you see who wins, and you're immediately just like,
who? Right. And that does happen. That absolutely happens, man. It does, and it might this weekend.
Charles Schwartz will ring a bell.
Sure, but some of the big names not so hot so far. But maybe tomorrow is different. And speaking of tomorrow on the show, Bill McDonald will be with us in the 4 o'clock hour. Love having Coach on, and we will be live at Pro Swing on Forest Drive.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so come by and say hey. All right, that's our one more real quick. The NFL, I guess this is the owners. The NFL is going to vote next week on whether or not to allow its active players at the time to participate in the first ever flag football events at the Olympic Games in Los Angeles.
God, I hope so. I hope they do.
I mean, again, you don't want anybody to get hurt. I get it. But considering how much the NFL is putting into flag football development around the world, to not have the stars available, it would be silly.
I want to see so bad just some random Swiss man have to guard Jamar Chase out on the boundary. I want that so bad. I need it like I need air, because I think there's going to be a lot of comedic value to that.
Could be. But that'll be next week. But I got a hunch they say, sure, have at it.
Do it.
That's our integrated media headlines of the day, 803-948-8327 for all your home theater needs and so much more. Call Integrated Media. The state of affairs of Gamecock baseball. Aaron Fitt chimed in, and you'll hear it next. Guys, as we get a little older, things might not be working the way they used to, or you're not feeling the way you used to when you get up. You just don't have that drive and that determination physically and or mentally. And sometimes if things aren't going well, that starts to weigh you down between the ears. Well, whatever it might be, don't wait for it to change or go away. Instead, do yourself a favor and see Dr. Dan Balknight and his team at the Men's Clinic. You will sit down with Dan, get a one-on-one consultation that gets to the root of the issues and gets you back to feeling like you used to. No magic pills, no one-size-fits-all. These are medical experts in healthcare for men. And for years, they've been dedicated to making you feel like yourself again. So, again, don't wait for it to go away, and don't be embarrassed by the things that could be bothering you. Go see the experts at the Men's Clinic. Set up a consultation at 803-875-MENS. That's Dan Balknight and the Men's Clinic. Twenty minutes after 5 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. Jay and Elijah with you. Again, also coming up today, in addition to the drive around the SEC, two of you will be winning family four-packs of tickets to Saturday night's Fireflies Green Jackets game at Segra Park.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Always fun at Segra.
Yeah, it's a good park, man. It's a good time. Good time. All right. Not so good a time around Gamecock baseball right now, and everybody's trying to figure out exactly how we got here as the number one LSU Tigers come to town tonight to close out the regular season, and everybody heads over to Hoover for the SEC tournament. Gamecocks will certainly be part of day one. But Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball joined us earlier. Aaron, one of the best in the business, covering this sport nationally for many, many years. Before D1 even started, he was doing it for Baseball America for a long time. But we started him off asking him just a pretty simple question of as you look around and know what's expected in these parts when it comes to Carolina baseball, how did we get here?
I'll tell you, the bottom line for me is nobody thought South Carolina was going to be very good this year. I mean, we picked them to finish, one of the bottom two teams in the league, I think, heading into it. But nobody thought they would be this bad. I mean, clearly, what are they, 5 wins in the league right now? I mean, I think it's not pretty and getting blown out. I mean, and it just feels like one of those things where, you get maybe a later start than you want with the portal when you have a coaching transition. You just have to be so good in the portal at this day and age to compete at the highest level of college baseball. And so that's part of it. And maybe there's just the transition period with a less talented roster that we knew was going to take its lumps. But I also think back to things can just snowball on you in baseball. And we saw that, I think about Link Jarrett, at Florida State. I mean, this is a guy that was a slam dunk hire, Florida State guy in his prime, coming off taking Notre Dame to Omaha. Omaha. Yep. And his first year at Florida State, they just bottom out. They finished last place. They had their worst season ever. They missed a regional for the first time in 45 years. And it was just a disaster. It just snowballed on them. And then the next year they bounced right back in there in Omaha. So, just keep that in mind is things can change quickly in this portal era.
When you look at the financial commitment part of it, and that kind of touches on how do you get players and things like that, there's a belief from some that maybe South Carolina just didn't understand that you better keep up. You haven't seen drop-offs at Arkansas. You haven't seen drop-offs at LSU. You've also seen the rise of Kentucky and certainly Tennessee, Aaron. How much of that, from your vantage point, do you think mattered here, that Carolina was just like, hey, we're going to do what's been working, and then all of a sudden it doesn't?
Yeah, it does kind of feel like they've just kind of gotten left behind a little bit, by some of those rising powers and obviously the superpowers you mentioned, like Arkansas and LSU, and now Tennessee as a rising. I mean, it's, I don't know why they've got stuck in the mud, and I don't know if part of that is NIL stuff. I mean, it sounds like they're not on the same level as some of the other, I'm not an expert insider on this. I'm just speculating on what, the grapevine is saying is that their NIL isn't on par with some of those other top programs. And so that's a big deal in this era, and that's something that if they want to be a nationally, very relevant program, that's really where you got to invest right now more than anywhere else.
Definitely, especially when you're trying to rebuild through the portal. And I know you see teams and examples in college football and basketball all the time that just recycle rosters, right? Or not recycle. You get a new one every year. You're constantly pressing a reset button. And with the way the season's gone, there's kind of no choice but to do that. I mean, how risky of a strategy do you think it is to kind of live and die by the portal when you have to win right now? And is there an example, I guess, of a team that you think South Carolina can maybe follow the blueprint of to get themselves back into enough relevance to make sure they get the program out from where it is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the blueprint for me feels like Georgia. Under Wes Johnson, they came right in and, hit the portal very, very hard in year one. And I remember thinking when they were building this roster, like, geez, do we really need 8 outfielders coming in from other places? I mean, it felt like it was excessive, all the guys that they were bringing in. They were just stockpiling guys. And obviously you can't keep all those guys in after the fall, but I mean, they hit on a bunch of them, and they hit on a bunch of them again last year. And, that's a program that's maybe gone to the far extreme. I mean, so portal heavy at the expense of the high school player, which I don't know how sustainable it is long term, but definitely if you want to get the thing turned around in a hurry, that's the way to do it. I mean, and clearly this coaching staff, if they're going to try to stick around for a few years, they need to get it going in a hurry. So I would think that going all in on the portal is the play.
That was Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball joining us earlier today. Again, the full interview on the YouTube page. Some good stuff in there. There's a little bit more that I asked him about the state of affairs around Carolina baseball. And Elijah and I hit him with a few things about the postseason, which, again, I know the Gamecocks at least the national postseason, are not going to be part of, but still a lot of excitement. And for those who love the sport, it's always one of the best times of the year. But again, coming back to it locally, it just so many people, Elijah, have asked guys like you and me, or asked guys like John Whittle and David Cloninger and those that cover this program. Jack Veltry's done a great job on it as well. Alan, everybody, just how did this happen? And because it didn't happen overnight. And yet it does feel almost like it did. And yet you knew there were things that were problematic a couple of years ago, despite the fact that last season, and we've talked about it a bunch, at the end of April last year, South Carolina was in a position to be a number 1 seed. Maybe not a national seed, but a number 1 and host. And it didn't quite happen. You were a 2 seed in Raleigh. You actually had one of your better SEC tournament appearances in the last few years. Last season, but just not enough, and really not enough pitching last year to sustain you through any kind of real postseason opportunity. But to have this, it's just like it's not. Again, it's not all Paul. It's not. It's not all Mark, and it's not all Ray. It's all some of it. But what else is it? Or is it is it just a belief that we don't have the money, or that they didn't allocate the money properly, or they missed on a few guys? I know people want to say, hey, what if Eli Jersenbeck doesn't get hurt? Well, what if he doesn't? That makes a difference. But like you and I talked about the other day, let's just say all things are equal. I mean, is Eli Jersenbeck alone going to turn you into a team that's competing for a hosting opportunity? I don't think so, because you got to have more behind him. It certainly alters your pitching usage. I'll give you that.
The pitching numbers probably aren't as bad.
Yeah, they're not
in total in SEC play.
Yeah, but so many times, and John Whittle has told us this. Why are you using this guy one day one way and then the same guy the next? It's just there's been a lot of trying to move pieces around maybe a little too much and not give these guys the roles they want. And so that could come back on Paul. But did Paul have enough to work with? Again, did Ray Tanner just, as athletics director, forget about the baseball coaching part? Did he not push Mark hard enough to do things? Did he not give Mark enough to work with, to leave the cupboard more full, or to have Mark be more successful? I think the answers, if you ask those questions, kind of yes, yes, yes. Or if it's a no answer, again, a no for everybody. There's a lot of responsibility / blame to go around, but it doesn't ease the pain or lessen the anger because of how proud this program is. If this was just a regular program, listen, here's the thing, y'all. If this was a program that historically was something like a Bama or Auburn baseball program, we wouldn't even spend that much time talking about it on a regular basis.
No. But it would just be a move-along type of thing.
It's like, oh, hey, baseball did so-and-so. What about spring football? Mm-hmm. But that's not what South Carolina baseball is. South Carolina baseball used to be elite, and now you are struggling for relevance. How did that happen? I still don't have answers, and I don't know that any of us do.
Yeah.
Not fully.
And a lot of that, when it comes to other teams passing you by, I think some of it may be other teams taking it more seriously financially.
Yes.
I think one advantage South Carolina had, obviously the location. This is a fantastic baseball state. There's talent everywhere. And again, I think Monty Lee, when he was on with us on Monday, made a pretty good point that, like, you are the biggest baseball team in town.
Yeah, you're the draw.
There's no pro team here to take away from that. So there were a lot of advantages that maybe other SEC schools didn't take advantage of. And a lot of it is how much you cared, right? Mm-hmm. Well, now everybody's caring about everything in every sport. We saw the investment in men's basketball and how much better that league got. We've seen the investment in women's basketball, how much better that league has gotten from top to bottom. It's gotten that way in baseball, too. From top to bottom, outside of Missouri, there's been a significant change in financial commitment, but you maybe have not been able to match that.
Yeah.
And if those answers were no to the questions you posed, then that explains why you got passed up, because now you're losing the arms race.
Or could you match it and didn't? I don't know.
Exactly.
It could be one or the other. Yeah. Well, to continue the baseball talk with a drive around the SEC, final weekend schedule coming up.
From the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with a couple of accidents to get to you that are causing some slow traffic backups on the roadways this afternoon, starting with an accident that's got the two right lanes blocked on I-20 eastbound. That's over at US 601 near exit 92. We also have an accident reported on Highway 6 near Highway 602 and Platte Springs Road, one on US 176 at Broad River Road near Beatty Road, and lastly, one just reported on US 21 near I-77.
"25 minutes in front of 6 o'clock here on a Thursday. Welcome back in. It is Drive Around the SEC time. Jay and Elijah with you. Before we do anything else, let's do this via text again, because I think this is a fun way to do it. It gives you some opportunities.
Yeah.
So texters 4 and 5 that come in, and Elijah can see them time-stamped. If you'd like to go to the Fireflies Green Jackets game Saturday night over at beautiful Segra Park in North Columbia.
If you want to bring the family or maybe the homies.
At least the north side of downtown. I guess it's not all the way in North Columbia, but the north side of
North
downtown.
side, yeah.
North side of downtown. Not too far from where you live these days.
That's right. I live, over in that Earlwood part.
Yeah, that part of the world. If you'd like to go, text the word Fireflies.
Yes.
To 803-404-6100. Please include your full name and your email address.
Yes. That's all I need from you.
Yeah. So don't just text Fireflies and be like, all right, now do I win? So 803-404-6100. Text the word Fireflies. And, again, your full name and your email address. And what did I say? Texters 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
We'll be going. There you go. Good luck. Pulling for you. In the meantime, drive around the SEC baseball this weekend. Final regular season series coming up. A&M needs to have a good one at Georgia. Georgia needs to have a good one because Georgia, 10th in the rankings, but much higher in the RPI, is vying for that top 8 national seeding and even potentially number 1. Although I don't think it matters a little bit. It does matter a little bit. Where you are in that national seed race. But Georgia has had a good year. They go at it tonight at 6. Aggies at the Bulldogs. Top 25 matchup. We got a few of them this weekend, as you might imagine. Number 18, Alabama at Florida. Florida, again, is really one of the 2 or 3 hottest teams in the country of late. This was a team that I believe was 1-11 after 12 conference games. They're now 13-14. So it doesn't sound like a tremendous season, but you do the math and you see how well Florida has been playing of late. Bama sitting on 15 conference wins, so even one win in Gainesville gives Bama a winning conference record. Mississippi State and Missouri go at it tonight. State needs this one. Missouri, of course, was winless in conference play before last weekend when they pulled off the surprise of the college baseball season, sweeping A&M in College Station. Mizzou, like the Gamecocks, doesn't have any real opportunity outside of winning the whole thing next week to go to postseason play at the national level. But Mississippi State does, and they're certainly what you would call a bubble team. State right now, 31-20, 12-15 in conference play. So they need to go to Como and take this series for sure. Kentucky is also kind of bubblish at this point. The Cats, 29-20, 13-14 in conference play. Again, the RPI for them, for State, a lot of these clubs is so strong because of the SEC. So if Kentucky could get a couple of wins or even maybe just one, just don't get swept is probably the way to look at it. Don't get swept at Vanderbilt. And you're probably all right.
Still a good win to boost your RPI.
Yeah, Vandy looking for a series win, and that puts them at 18-12 if they were to win 2 of 3, Elijah, and pushes them right near 40 overall. But Vandy, again, strong RPI, could definitely be a national seed at that point. Auburn will be at Mississippi this weekend. Both those teams should be in Auburn at 16-11 playing for national seeding. Mississippi, I suppose if they won the series this weekend, it gives them a winning conference record, maybe win a few next week. Ole Miss could be in position to be a host, not a national seed. Got to go back and see how things shake out next week. Number 3, Texas is the number 1 team in the SEC. They will be at Oklahoma. Both those teams should be fine. And again, Texas is definitely vying for number 1 seed status. And perhaps the series of the weekend will be in Fayetteville as Tennessee at 40-13, 15-12 is at Arkansas, 41-11, 18-9. Again, Arkansas 2 games behind Texas for the best record in the Southeastern Conference. A game ahead of LSU. Those 3 teams are looking. If LSU sweeps, I don't think Texas is going to get swept. Elijah Campbell.
Doubt it.
I don't think they'll get. Of course, I didn't think they'd get swept at Arkansas, but they did. But I don't think that happens again. So Texas pretty much needs just the 1 win, and they know they do. If they just get 1 win, then they will, at bare minimum, be co-champion of the Southeastern Conference. Again, should Arkansas sweep Tennessee, which, again, that's going to be hard even in their building.
Possible, but
it is possible. It is. And Tennessee has cooled in the second half of the season, but it's a relative term because they're still really good. They're still really good.
They're still, even at cooled, they're still pretty.
They are.
Pretty
I would expect Tennessee to grab a game for sure. But it does kind of look like Texas is going to be the Southeastern Conference champion. And again, of course, the Gamecocks and LSU tonight. LSU is saving their 2-star pick. Not saving. Coach Johnson wants to keep his 2 aces.
Keeping them in their
on
day
their
slot.
regular Friday, Saturday slots.
Yes.
So they won't pitch. They'll pitch tomorrow and Saturday. And again, those dudes are, I'll give you the numbers again because it's kind of daunting.
I can translate them before you give it. Good.
Yeah, scary. Cade Anderson, sophomore lefty, 6'1", 366, 124 strikeouts, just 20 walks in 76 1/3. And Anthony Ierson is a junior righty, 8-2 with a 2.91, 116 strikeouts, just 27 walks in 74 1/3. That's who's pitching against you, and they can hit too. Gamecocks throw Ashton Crowther tonight and Jake McCoy tomorrow. No decision on Saturday's starter for Carolina. This is going to be a daunting task, man.
It is.
It's a daunting task. And again, LSU sweep gives them 20 conference wins, definitely puts them as a national seed. And then, it might be a matter of LSU, Texas, Tennessee, Arkansas, going into Hoover next week and figuring out. And again, for I guess who's in 4th right now? That actually, who's going to finish 4th?
Is probably a better question.
That's a better question because it certainly feels like some form of Texas, Arkansas, LSU will advance all the way to Friday, barring just something. And I'm not even sure craziness could happen unless Carolina were to sweep LSU.
But you just have such a log jam behind those 3 with Georgia 16-11, Auburn 16-11, Vanderbilt 16-11, and then just 1 game behind them is Alabama and Tennessee.
Yeah, those teams that are vying for that final slot next Friday, in other words, advancing in 2 rounds. That's where the real
drama is.
Battle is. Yeah.
One bad weekend for one of them could result from being potentially the 4th place team to like the 8th.
Yeah, and having to play another game.
Yeah,
and try to win
maybe even the 9th worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Because realistically, behind those teams right there, Ole Miss is 14-13. So Ole Miss has a great weekend. They can really shake.
There's drama. I'm glad there is, and again, even drama at the top in terms of who wins the conference championship. Like I say, Texas, despite having been swept by Arkansas, still has a 2-game lead. So they have, in my opinion, even if they have to go on the road, they have an easier task. And Oklahoma's really good. Don't get me wrong, Oklahoma's good, but Arkansas having to take on Tennessee and try to win that one, that's a more difficult task. But I mean, Arkansas swept Texas, so again, I don't know, man.
Dude, I mean, I don't think people are talking enough about Arkansas as a national title favorite. They just do everything well. The pitching isn't as top end as it was last year, You don't have that. I don't think that one ace that's just that much better than everybody else in college baseball like they've had.
Right.
But they hit the ball out of the park with such regularity. Maybe the best lineup in college baseball. And the pitching staff's always under Van Horn. It's always going to be a
absolutely
pitching staff. That's the one team right now, and I know LSU took 2 or 3 from them, but that's the team right now I want no part of.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Well, there's a few. That's the thing. And again, I don't want any part of Florida right now. I don't want it. Yeah. LSU's hot. Arkansas has been fine. Texas is still really.
But out of those top 3, I think if you maybe pick one that I have to bet on.
Yeah.
To win the SEC or go the furthest in the College World Series.
Go nationally.
I'm putting all my eggs in the Arkansas basket.
The complete team feel. I don't disagree, man. But we're going to see a really good team this weekend. More than likely get to 20 conference wins.
It's a lot
here in Columbia. So we'll see what happens. Again, Derek and Stewart on the call at 6:45 tonight, 7 o'clock, first pitch, Gamecocks and LSU. That's the drive around the SEC. Jay versus the Internet is next. AAA Heating and Air, ready to help you and your family stay nice and comfortable. They've done it for my family here recently. We had an older system in the upstairs of our house, and finally, said enough is enough. The thing was it was old. It was old. At least I knew how old it was, 18 years.
Ooh.
And AAA had serviced it a couple of times, but Roy Findlay finally said, Jay, it's time for you to take better care of your daughters that live up there. And Roy was right. And so within 48 hours of me calling 803-677-1500, we had a brand new system installed, running perfectly. And now the girls are even excited because the new thermostat is controllable via Wi-Fi, so they can do that. It's great, man. If it's time for you to get a new system, guaranteed financing, 15-year parts and labor guarantee, a big rebate, and a great service of AAA Heating and Air, 803-677-1500. Tell them we sent you to AAA. All right, welcome back in. Final few minutes before I take on the internet and try to destroy the world or run it as best I see fit. I do want to remind you to log on to the internet at 1075thegame.com. See what I did there?
How's that for a segue?
The Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway in effect for another week or so. If a Gamecock batter hits a Grand Slam, you could win the cash in the pot. It is currently at $550. It goes up $25 a game. Palmetto Citizens just drops that money right in the big old pot.
Bag dropping.
That's what they do. But again, you can't win if you don't register. So do yourself a favor. Go to 1075thegame.com, sign up, and hope that the Carolina Gamecocks hit a Grand Slam. Again, more than $500 currently in there.
I could pay off a lot of stuff.
Good luck.
Buy a lot of stuff for $500.
Pull them for you. Or you can just take your significant other out to a really nice dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, right down the
Even
street
have money
here.
for dessert.
Look at that. It's always nice to get dessert at those really nice dinners.
Yeah. Or, if you like to spread the wealth around locally.
Just give Elijah some of your money.
Well, yes, that's all. Well, that's always my recommendation. That's a given, right? But hit up whatever fancy restaurant you want, and then just hit up Kaminsky's afterwards. Get you some.
Oh,
really
there
nice
you go.
desserts.
Yeah.
One of my favorite places in town. I don't often give free pub around here, but
No, I get it. Hey,
worth it.
When you like it, you like it.
It's a good spot.
I'm down. It won't be here, but next week I'll be doing one of those fancy dinners. My oldest is graduating with 2 master's degrees.
What's better than one master's degree?
2 of them.
2 of them.
From the University of Maryland. We're extremely proud of her, but we're taking her. She's got a nice dinner planned in D.C.
Very nice.
I think I know where, but I'm not sure. But I'll let you know next week when I get back. I'll be back for Friday. I'll be gone next Wednesday and Thursday for her graduation, but I'll be back on Friday.
Very nice.
Ready to hang out. I love D.C. I'm going to miss that because she's leaving D.C. to go get a new job.
So you don't have.
I don't have as much D.C.-ish stuff now.
That's brutal.
It is, man. 7 years. We've been going to D.C. I love D.C. I do. It's a great town. But I'll miss that. But maybe we'll just have her drive down to where she's going to be living, and we'll just meet her there from time.
Could
to time.
always, make that as like a
Or just go.
point.
It's
Yeah,
just
or
D.C. Just
anyway.
go. Yeah, just go.
You guys aren't strangers to making the trip.
That's true. That's true. We've done it a lot. But looking forward to that. All right, Jay versus the internet here. Does this have music as well?
Not
we don't
yet.
do music for this.
Not yet.
Oh, we're working on that.
We are, working on getting an entire produced.
I feel like
intro.
this might need like Jason Voorhees music behind it or something.
Well, the way it's been going for you, yes, the scarier the music,
that's
the more
kinda what I was-
appropriate
what
it
I was
would be.
thinking.
Yeah, because right now you are 1-5 in this contest.
Well, what are the other people?
The internet's 3-3.
Okay.
They're right at 500.
All right.
So I appreciate the consistency of the internet after 2 days.
Sure.
So we'll go ahead, and because you're 2 games back,
Okay.
we're going to go ahead and let you go first.
Okay.
And
I don't see these in advance. I know I
you don't.
could, but
You
I
could.
don't. I do my I go into this cold.
very honorable of you. All right. Who will win against the spread in tonight's Thunder Nuggets game? The Thunder are 4.5-point favorites.
This is in Denver, yes.
This is in Denver.
Yeah, give me Denver's going to get Denver plus the points at home in a do or die. Give me Joker to will his team. Although I know Murray again has like the flu. The whole store has the flu.
The flu.
So he's questionable, but it's still give me Joker to will his team, and maybe Russ does have a Russ kind of game that works.
And the internet goes with a 54 to 46%. It was close,
Yeah.
but the internet sides with you. The Nuggets plus 4.5.
Yeah.
Number 2, who wins tonight's Game 5 between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Washington Capitals?
This is
a potential closeout game for
Let's say-
Carolina. This is going to be. I
this
believe
is
one
3-1,
is.
right?
Yeah, it's 3-1.
But it's in Washington.
Yes.
Washington.
Jay says all caps. His caps lock is on right now. He goes to the
Of
Capitals.
course, I probably would have told you that the Leafs were going to win last night, too.
And that wasn't a thing. But this is where the intrigue is, because with 64% of the vote, the internet goes with the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, locals.
So you can gain a game here
Okay.
if
I'm pulling
Alex
for that.
Ovechkin helps you out here.
Yeah.
And now one of the closest votes we've had in the entire history of this contest.
All 3 days.
All 3 days, yes. That is the entire history.
That's true, though.
Who will score more points tonight between Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
See, I'd love to look at their playoff averages just to give myself an idea. But since I just said that Joker is going to will his team to an elimination game victory in Denver, give me Joker to score more points.
All right. And the internet, 53% to 47 also goes Nikola Jokic.
Okay.
So once again, an agreeance on 2, disagreeance on 1.
Yeah.
So the big game tonight for you is you really need the Washington Capitals to beat the Carolina Hurricanes.
Can I find a spread on that one? I don't want to change my mind or anything.
Well, they're for the hockey game.
Yeah.
Well, they don't really do spreads. They do what's called the puck line, so which means one team would be favored, and you're automatically favored by a goal and a half. But the odds are very skewed. The only way to really win like a puck line, like to make money from that, is usually to bet the favorite.
Well, the money line then has Caps plus 140 to Carolina's minus 165. So have I chosen poorly?
I don't think so.
Go Caps.
It's hockey, baby.
Go Caps. Speaking of DC, go Caps. See y'all tomorrow at Pro Swing on Forest Drive. Springtime, always a great time of year to do the spring cleaning or maybe around the house. Time to start remodeling a little bit. You know, you say, well, how am I going to pay for that? I know things are kind of tight right now financially around the country. Well, if you have some equity built up in your home, call Palmetto Citizens. Take advantage of some fantastic opportunities with their home equity line of credit. If you've been looking to make improvements or maybe in this current environment want to just consolidate some high interest debt and lower those numbers, the home equity line of credit could be great for you. And when you work with Palmetto Citizens, you are working with a group that is local, that is not for profit, and that has been in business since the 1930s all across the Midlands. Their home equity loans offer terrific low rates, and you pay lower closing costs and application fees than you do with the big banks. Plus, you can access that line of credit over a 10-year draw to get things fixed up when you need to. Apply online today at palmettocitizens.org or any of their 14 convenient Midlands locations. Great folks at Palmetto Citizens.